So enjoy the podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Jair
Rodriguez. Well, let's do that a little tighter.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, behavioral assessor Jair Rodriguez. That was good.
That was really good.
This is Bertcast.
All right.
So, can you give me your email address? I'm gonna make sure and send you guys both of your graphs so you can follow along.
You can send them to us now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're recording now.
Okay.
But
good.
get our email addresses. LeeAnn's email address
I
is
just spelled mine wrong.
is herpesgirl32 at me.com.
Shut up.
I got that email address a long time ago.
Herpes girl?
Herpes boy 72 at Hotmail, I think. I forget what it was exactly, but it was. I just thought it was a funny email to give people when they were like, but then someone ultimately would have herpes and it wasn't that funny to them.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Can you hear LeeAnn okay, Halston?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah, a lot of things I used to think were funny turn out are sexual assault. Like I was saying, I was saying like we used to do a game where we'd take our dicks out and put it in our buddy's pocket at the bar.
In the pocket?
Yeah, just get up real close next to him and just put it in his pocket and go, "Have you seen my wallet?" And then he goes, "What the fuck?" That's sexual assault.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of assaulting.
But it was funny back then.
Pervy at
It made sense at the time.
At the time, it was you never do it to a girl, but all right.
Okay.
That's more like hazing, right?
Well, I think part of it, and by the way, this isn't where the interview is going today, but I think part of it was just fun. It was just like there was a picture of me that's floating around somewhere of my buddy Seth. I won't say his last name, but he was passed out, mouth open, and I am completely naked on top of him, like standing on top of him, dangling my junk inches from his mouth.
Wait, who has this picture?
I'm sure Hutch has it. I'm certain someone has it. And by the way, I wouldn't mind it getting posted because I look skinny as shit in it. I look good. This is like back when I was like probably 186 and I was lifting weights. I looked hot. And Seth's now grown up. He lives in Seattle. I see him every year. So no hard feelings.
Oh my God.
But I don't even know.
Has he ever seen this
I'm
picture?
certain Seth saw the picture.
He did?
Yeah. But that's what you did when you guys passed out back in the day. Your buddy passed out. You colored his face or you did something horrible. Are you sending those to us now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm
I'm
going
gonna send the first one.
You don't think he was offended?
Who offended? It was 1996. Who got offended in 1996? Do you realize how hard it was? I remember Seminole Indians standing outside the football games and saying, "You're culturally appropriating you're appropriating our culture for your mascot." And I remember grown-ups who were in like golf shirts and going, "Get the fuck out of here," just yelling racial slurs at them. And those are grown-ups. The world has changed so drastically, so much.
Yeah.
What's your ethnic background, if you don't mind me asking? Jair?
Jair, yeah.
Middle Eastern?
What is it?
I'm asking you.
He said, "What's your ethnic background?"
Oh, Mexico.
Oh, yeah, Mexico, yeah.
Okay.
I was out of it.
That's okay.
So you guys should have it.
Okay, I'm opening it right now. So
I have to get my glasses, though.
So why don't you explain to my listeners what you do?
Okay, so
pull the mic. You never have the mic too close.
A little closer. Okay.
If you want to move it around, feel free to move it. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So I'm a behavioral profiler. So basically what I do is I look at 4 primary emotions and how they translate into behavioral frameworks. So how we do things and then our motivations, basically what drives our behavior. So the how and the why. And then we go deeper into what I call axiology, which is how we value the world, both extrinsically and intrinsically. So how we see the world outside of ourselves, and that encompasses 3 aspects. And then when we look at ourselves, how do we value ourselves? So we call that, when we're talking about the world outside of ourselves, empathy, practical thinking or common sense, and system judgment.
Okay. All of
Okay.
which I have none practically.
We're gonna get into that.
Well,
It's gonna.
the reason I wanted to do this is I think mostly and this taps into what we were talking about earlier. But as the world has changed, you started realizing that certain characteristics or certain people I was drawn to or I would draw to me, I found were always narcissists. And I talked to one of my best friends about it the other day, and we were saying that I had a friend a long time ago. Give me a
It's okay.
I'm waiting for the email as well. I had a friend a long time ago who I think was pretty fucking broken. But what was interesting to me was the dynamic of this situation.
Okay.
He was a big wrestling fan. He loved Ric Flair.
Okay.
And we were all in the outfield, I think, in center field, and we were screwing around. And he did a wrestling move to me, and all my friends, I always found that I was the one that got the wrestling move done to them. So he'd do the wrestling move to me, and then he had me in like a headlock. And I wasn't really wrestling. I was just being a part of this show. I was letting it happen, and everyone was cheering, and I was like, and then he pulled out a pair of scissors and he cut my hair. Wow. Not a bunch, but enough, and then started waving around. I didn't really give a fuck. And in all honesty, I didn't even think about it because I didn't see that part of my head because it was the top of my hair or it was the side of my hair. I didn't even think about it. And he was like bragging. And then I got in the car with my dad. I got in the car with my dad, and my dad was one of the times my dad was genuinely let down in me. But he was angry. He's like, why the fuck would you let him do that? What the fuck is wrong with you that you'd let another person just cut your hair? And I was like, well, like in my defense, I remember thinking, what was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to sincerely start fighting him when he has a pair of scissors in his hands? I'm in a headlock. Was I like, what was I really to do? By the way, I must have been 10. So like, I think he was probably 12. But I found myself in that relationship having to get out of that relationship. And throughout my life, I've broken up with a lot of friends. And I find myself, still didn't get it. Did you get yours, LeeAnn?
Yeah, I'm reading mine.
Wait, what did you
Sort
say?
of.
Well, I actually sent both of them to
me?
her.
Hey, how about sending one to me, LeeAnn?
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't. I'll just forward it to you, but I can't read. I have to go get my glasses.
So the results that I get are basically numbers.
Okay.
That's all I look at. So I'm looking at numbers.
Okay.
Here it's coming.
I don't really get a lot of information as far as, you are this way or the other way.
Yeah.
I'm just reading the numbers and how they translate into what you do and why you do it.
Well, I'll cheat off yours. I can't see my phone. It's too small. I sent it.
Okay. I'm waiting for it. But yeah, and I think there's part of my personality that I would like to fix. Not fix, but I guess you can't. I guess this is stuff you can't fix. This is just who you are.
It's not so much about fixing as much as it is about understanding,
Right.
accepting, and then recognizing, is it working for me or is it working against me?
Right.
If it's working against you, by all means, you can adapt the way you behave, but we never try to change people.
No, it's not possible.
That's not a good
No.
idea. No.
Table
but
of contents.
The more you know about yourself, the better.
Yeah.
So why do people like in the world use your services?
Well, there's a lot of people that don't really know much about who they are. So
That's a lot of people.
yeah, the
I think
majority
a lot
of people.
and I say this, but I'm very introspective in my behaviors. But I wasn't until I became a comedian. When you start being a comic, you really start analyzing every idea you have from every perspective.
Yeah.
And whatever your go-to idea is, you then also automatically take the outside of that go-to and think, how can I work it differently this way?
Yeah.
I have a real I have this thing right now that I believe, like, I'm explaining how this works, but like, so that I'm for the first time in my life, I am seeing that I look past individuals that I don't see as someone I've interacted with often in my life. Does that make sense?
Okay, explain a little bit.
It's the core tenet of racism. of what is what is wrong with race relations in America.
Okay.
Is people can't see other people's perspective because they simply look past it. And I realized I did that. We were talking about this one time when I was a child, and I found out that they were going to have Sandy Duncan play Peter Pan. I got offended because I was like, that was a boy's role. You can't give a boy's role to a girl.
Yeah.
I got really offended. And so I was like, whatever. That would happen throughout life. I remember when they did the reenactment of Grease, they had black kids as the greasers. And I was like, I remember this was on TV. This was recent. I was like, wait. I was like, you can't change the story. Now you got to talk about the most progressive school in the country, Rydell High. It was my go-to joke in my head that I'd always try to write the joke when I saw this out of line. And then we went and saw Oklahoma. My daughter was in Oklahoma. And one of the kids was Asian. And I was like... No one's gonna say that because there's a race in the movie, in the show Oklahoma. There's a race, not a race, but it's a farmers versus cowboys.
Yeah,
and it's a class distinction. The cowboys think they're better than the farmers think they're better than the cowboys.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, no one's gonna mention that one kid's Asian. No one's just gonna in the middle of this. They're not gonna go, what about the guy that built the railroad? And so, but all of a sudden in doing this, I realized. As a comic, I go, wait, hold on. That's super easy. You've been using the same perspective super easily. Let's flip it around. Let's access it from the back. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, what have you been saying all these years, Bert?
Yeah.
That because a kid is Asian, he doesn't get an opportunity to be in the school play? Like, are you out of your fucking mind? And then I was like, wait. This world is no longer, this world is so diverse that you're gonna have the Mexican girl as the lead, the black guy as her lead. It's not gonna be. And then I was like, wait, stop producing plays like Oklahoma. Make it so it's encompassing. That make it. It's. And so that I think as a comic, what you do is you always.
So here's the thing. When I looked at the results, as I mentioned, axiology, the way you look at the world, you are what we call unconventional.
Are you talking about me right now?
Yeah, I'm talking about you. So unconventional people have a tendency of being really deep reflective thinkers.
Oh,
so
nice.
Imagine.
I'm glad you just backed up what I said about myself.
Imagine yourself looking through life with a different filter.
Okay.
So what is really obvious for you in your analysis of the world is not going to be as obvious to other people.
I wonder if that's why I'm a comic, because...
Probably, because you can see relationships, you can see patterns that nobody else can. Right. And you can make connections that other people can't make. But once you identify that and once you tell people, they can see it as well. They're like, oh, wow, yeah. But it just takes them a while. You need to make the connection for them.
When I was taking the test, and I'll explain the test a little bit before we go into...
Well, I have a few questions so everybody that's listening understands. I don't think you've said your name, like your full name, or where you work, or, how could people find you if they wanted to do this too? What's wrong?
No, go ahead. It's your podcast.
It's not my podcast.
No, she's right. I forgot all that.
I would go, well, what is his name and where does he
people
work?
are probably wondering, who is this guy? Okay, so...
With the smoky accent.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know, right?
So my name is Jair Rodriguez, and I'm a behavioral profiler. I'm currently working with the Behavioral Resource Group. So we get clients in over 18 countries.
Wow.
So we focus mainly on individuals and entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So a lot of self-understanding. It has multiple applications. Mm-hmm. So you can use it in a relationship if you get problems. You can use it in a partnership with business. Mm-hmm. You can use it before you hire somebody. You can use it, I got a kid and he's going to college and he doesn't know what to do.
Oh.
So we don't really tell people what to do. We give them a direction.
Like, this is who you are.
Yeah, this is who you are. And more than likely, this is not going to work for you.
Right.
So we have a really interesting saying, we see people as we are, not as they are.
Wait, say that again. We see people as we
are, not as they are. So if something worked for me in the past, I'm assuming it's going to work for you. But if you have a different personality, guess what?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not going to work for you.
Right.
So how can I apply what we're learning today about myself in work? Because I chose work. There's 3 different categories. There's work, there's personal, and there's social.
Family and social.
So ultimately, it basically is going to end up being the same thing. So the reason why we have different categories, what if you don't have family? What if, you don't work?
Right.
So your personality, the way you behave, is going to change. And most of the times you're going to have two patterns. So when you look at your graph, you got two different patterns. You have what we call character, and then you have behavior, which is an adapted style. Does that make sense?
Character and then behavior. Behavior is an adapted style. It's basically
Character's who you are. Right?
Character is who you are waking up in the morning.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So the best way to imagine this, you get an iPhone, right? Mm-hmm. You get an iPhone, brand new, you got the default settings.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now you go out into the world and you're like, oh, you know what? I need to get Uber. I need to get Pandora. I need to get yada, yada, yada. So you start adding to it, right? You don't change the iPhone, you start adding to it. So once you start adding to your personality, who you are, that translates into intended behavior, which is who you show to the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. I might be the dumbest person alive.
You are not.
Because as you say stuff, sometimes I start going, okay, you should be listening harder. You should be listening harder.
Well, you are a situational listener.
You know that from my test?
Yeah, I know that.
Oh, wow.
I need
And
a
by the
high
way-
five from you on
By the
that.
way, everyone listening to the podcast is like, no fucking
No
shit.
shit. It's
Everyone
right.
listening to this right now is like, yeah, you should.
So here's the thing. When my friend made the connection, I don't really know much about you. I know you're a comedian.
Yeah.
And I think I watched one of your The Machine,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I thought it was fake when you were saying it. I thought it was a story like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, made up story. And the guy goes like, no, that actually happened. I was like, what? That actually happened?
You're
He's
like, well, I can't wait to read this guy's profile.
yeah. So that got me interested. So that's all I know about you. That clip, and you're a comedian. I don't really know much.
Okay.
else.
And my behavior profile.
Yeah. But now I got a lot of information on you.
And what about you got information on my wife too?
Yeah.
And we're going to share all of that on this podcast.
As much as you want to.
I'll share it all.
this,
We're open book. I'm
this
fine.
right here goes really, really deep. I know it's just numbers, but it tells me a lot.
That's so cool. How did you get into this line of work?
Listening to a podcast.
Really?
Shut up. Really?
Yeah.
What podcast?
I think it was The Art of Charm, if I'm not mistaken.
I know those guys.
Yeah. So
Jordan
yeah, there you go.
Harbinger.
That's the one.
You know, I listened to him. I was in Australia, and I listened to him. Oh, it's something. I can't remember what it was. I was supposed to do a podcast with him. When I first met him, I was kind of shitty to him because he's a young guy. He's good looking, and his whole thing was like, forget it was about how to build confidence or something. And I was like, I forget what it was. At the very beginning, I met him through Zane Lamprey, and I was kind of shitty to him. And then he was like, "No, I can work with you." But then I listened to his podcast. I listened to a podcast he did, and it was fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I really fucking slept on him. He was super. I forget what it was. It was about like 5 different types of people that there are.
You know what? I think it might be the one that I listened to as well.
Yeah.
So the guy that trained me in behavioral profiling, Steven Sisler, that's who I listened to the first time. So
It was about guys like the kind of person you are. If you get a new car, if someone gets a new car, are you the person that goes, "Hey, great car," even though it's not a great car? Or do you go, "Hey, why did you get that package?" Or do you go, "I'm not going to say anything, but I really want that car." There were like 5 different types of personalities.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I'm the person that goes, oh, hey, cool car." And what's so funny is that I listened to that podcast in Australia, and then I thought Segura got a Lamborghini, and I witnessed it firsthand. Where I didn't want a Lamborghini, but I was just like, hold on. I was blown away. And I was witnessing the 5 different personalities.
Yeah.
I was watching Rogan, who was in on the joke, but he's like, dude, it's a great car. You know, you got to treat yourself every now and then. I was like, he's that guy. And then I was watching Ari going, this is fucking a waste of money. This is a waste of money. I've been to 19 different countries in the last month. Yeah. And then I was watching Segura looking at me, watching for my reaction. And I couldn't process it because of that podcast. All I thought was, Tom, I know how much money you make. It's such a waste of money. Like, you can definitely afford it, but I was like, I want to celebrate with him, but I know it's a $300,000 car or plus. And And I know, I just was like, I was like, wait, how did you make this decision? Why did you make this decision?
Hard to justify.
It was really like, it was
a lot of money.
That was an extreme case.
It was a joke also.
It was a joke
It's not
because
for
he didn't get
real.
a fucking Lamborghini.
But he just,
And now I'm obsessed with bobbers. But yeah, so
bobbers?
that Jordan Harbinger, I think I'm saying his name right.
Mm-hmm.
His podcast is really, listened to it on a lark because I was hungover in Australia, and I ended up listening to it all day. It was a really good podcast.
So I printed our report out. Like, I printed it out. I do better looking at it. So
Okay.
I'm going to run get it.
And get your glasses and maybe another cup of coffee for me. Do you want any coffee? I don't know. I don't know how much we have. I offered you coffee.
Cream or sugar?
Oh, we have a Keurig out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Which one? Cream, sugar, both?
Both. Yeah.
Both. Would you like some coffee? Sure. Okay.
We have a Keurig out here, LeeAnn.
Yeah, I know. I put it there.
Yeah. So do you think I can get a better looking wife just based on my numbers? Like, if you've done my fucking driving me nuts right now. I hate that she's like, I was not a very deep person. I'm not very deep to begin with.
There's something really interesting. When I was looking at your behavior and hers, naturally you guys are pretty similar.
Really?
Yeah. Now, when you're adapting, that's when the change happens.
So when
You go completely bizarre.
So when
Really-
she comes back in, just the first thing I was really astounded, Bert, by you just are so much stronger in every category than LeeAnn. It's almost like she's like a weaker link, like a rescue dog. Say rescue dog. She's like your rescue dog, and she's very lucky to have you. And then say, LeeAnn, what's it like being married to such a successful person? She's been so excited for this. She took the test, I think, right away.
Yeah. I was, the first thing just by looking at your presentation, when I talked to your manager, I was like, it's going to be difficult to have this guy sit down and take the assessment. He's like, you got that right. And you completed it yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
I did it yesterday.
Yeah, so
literally, I woke up. My wife's like, "You cannot start drinking until you finish this assessment."
Yeah.
So I got on the treadmill. I ran. I wish you could help me figure out what's wrong with my brain. I literally got on the treadmill, ran, jumped in the pool, and then I was going to the Rams game.
So
and I cracked a beer, and she was like, "No, take this assessment."
You have a really chaotic mind. Meaning,
Let's wait till LeeAnn gets back for this because
we'll get into detail.
So where did you grow up?
Mexico.
¿Adonde?
Yeah, Monterrey, Mexico. It's like 5 hours away from
Monterrey,
Texas.
Mexico?
Yeah.
Oh, is it on the Gulf Coast?
No.
Or in the middle of Mexico?
It's actually towards the north.
Really?
Like 2.5 hours from, the border.
Okay. When you were born in Mexico?
I was born in Mexico.
Did you have to do like immigration papers to come here?
Yeah, I came here when I was 16.
Really?
Yeah.
16 years old.
Yeah. Kind of tough. Didn't know any English back then.
You didn't know any English?
No.
I speak a little Spanish. Let's try to run some Spanish real quick.
Okay, go for it.
The old cup.
I
Thank you, sir.
Yo.
Yo.
I'm trying to, yeah. I don't even know how to say learned. Entiendo? No, that's understand.
I understand.
Yo entiendo. Yo sé español un poquito porque yo no use it a lot. But it's
A lot.
it's amazing how
pretty good.
useful Spanish would be in my life now.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Because I mean, we've gone into construction now. I think 4 times on this house, and I would just love to communicate with the guys.
Yeah.
It's but yeah. How did you learn English? Just fucking
Yeah.
just start.
Studying, practicing, and it was quite challenging to be.
And where did
honest
you
with
move to when you first came to the States?
San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, well you could use a lot of Spanish there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did your whole family come or just you?
It was my mom, sister, and myself.
Nice. And you were 16.
16.
And I
didn't know any English. It was challenging.
Go to high school?
I straight to high school.
Straight to high school, no English.
No English.
That must have been fun though. Holy shit.
Can you imagine like people making fun of you and yeah.
Did you feel like a racism towards you as a Mexican from Mexican Americans, Chicanos? Chicano is a Mexican born in in America,
There's
right?
there's that, but I never struggled with that. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't have a particularly meek personality, so
Yeah.
people don't mess with me. That's a rule.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess
Yeah.
I would have been tortured. Like if I would not. I always had. Despite, I'm sure maybe you can tell this in my assessment, but I have a little bit of social anxiety.
There's some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really interesting because, and again, we're gonna get deep into this, right? But
Okay.
you're actually naturally not an extrovert. Which is like
fucking fascinating, right?
yeah,
Actually, not an extrovert.
he's not an
Yeah.
extrovert at all.
No, he's
At all.
he's socially awkward.
This is a new podcast we do called LeeAnn pretending it's not a podcast.
So yeah, your listeners are gonna know. They're gonna get a lot of information on you.
Oh, this is gonna be good. LeeAnn,
Yeah.
come on, apúrate.
I'm trying. It's
See?
not coming on.
I'll throw my Spanish in every now and then.
Oh, there we go.
I really wish I wish I had kept with Russian, and I wish I had kept with Spanish. Spanish mostly because growing up in Florida, all my friends spoke a broken Spanish.
Yeah.
And all of our sayings. I still say this because I played baseball growing up, and so I still think I think in Spanish because our coaches were all Spanish.
Yeah.
Growing up, so like sometimes when my daughter doesn't swing at a pitch, I go buenos ojos, good eyes, Isla, good eyes,
good eyes.
Yeah. I remember there was one of the pitchers I used to catch for. His dad was from the Basque region, and he was just yell at his son in Spanish. And I
They can get pretty intense. Yeah, it's a cultural thing.
LeeAnn, let that brew, and then sit down. And when it brews, we'll come up and get it. So, all right. So LeeAnn,
That's another part of the personality, service oriented.
Did I come up as service oriented?
it really.
Yeah.
He was saying earlier. I don't forget.
All of
It's a
this
perfect match,
dynamic
right?
is just like falling into place. I'm just like connecting all the dots.
He was saying
How
earlier
funny.
how I am such a dominant, strong, and that
Full
you're
of
like
shit.
a rescue dog,
Full of shit.
and that you're very lucky. And he wanted to know what it was like to be married to which one's yours and which one's mine.
So we're going to be
don't know.
looking
I just
basically
printed
2 pages. I'll tell you right now. It's
Okay.
page
For Bert Kreischer.
38 and page 17.
38.
That's all we're going to be looking at. So that one. And,
38, and then can you find
and then
17 in here, LeeAnn?
17.
Oops.
Yes,
I'm a fucking mess.
I will in my service-oriented self. Oh wait, these are in the 40s.
Yeah, I don't think we have a 17 here.
41,
Wait, do we not print out some of the
42.
pages?
I wonder if I ran out of paper.
Did you get 17 or not?
But we can pull up 17 on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
No, I think I ran out of paper.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We printed
Page 17.
35 to the end.
17. And who wants to go first?
Oh. I let LeeAnn go first.
Okay.
I'm looking at, I think this is 15.
Okay. Let's do that then.
7. This is 17.
17. It should be, it looks something like this, right?
Yep, I got it.
Got it? Okay. So basically, once again, it's a model of behavior, and we're analyzing 4 primary emotions. Okay? So we have anger, optimism, patience, and fear. Okay?
And we're talking about LeeAnn right now.
Wait, anger,
Yeah.
optimism, patience, and fear.
Yeah.
And what are these graphs? You're going to explain them, right? These are for Bert.
So we're going to look at yours first. He wants you to go first.
Okay.
So what we're looking for are basically the intensities of these emotions, right? So you have feelings, you have emotions, and then you have passions. So the lower or the higher you go, the stronger they get. Mm-hmm. So they go from a preference to a conviction.
Got it.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
So on yours, your natural self or your character, who you really truly are, when you wake up in the morning, right? We call this a harmonizer. Okay?
I'm a harmonizer,
Yeah.
but I don't sing.
No.
That's a joke.
Yeah, let's stay away from those. Keep going.
So basically, people oriented, stable, predictable. and you're really, really high when it comes to steadiness or patience, which means that you can tolerate a situation for a long, long time before you actually take action.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Would you say that's accurate?
Sounds like our marriage, yeah.
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 Which is probably why this works.
It is why this works.
You need a lot of patience, I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. So
How funny.
you will
that
avoid
came up.
conflict and confrontation, and you are going to internalize a lot of your emotions.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
Okay. Which can be a problem
Right.
over time
Right.
because you're going to be more indirect in the way you communicate.
Right.
Oh, yeah. You mean
So-
passive aggressive?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So when you send a message, and we go back to that saying, we see people as we are. Mm-hmm. When you send that message to you, that's crystal clear. Mm-hmm. But when he gets it, it just like,
Yeah.
he doesn't get it,
Right.
in other words. But in your brain, he did.
Right.
So now when he does it, you're going to be upset.
Right. Right.
So when you finally blow up, you're going to be more hurt
Right.
than angry.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly what happens to me.
Does that
or
make sense?
for me. That is my
Yeah, it
experience
makes
of
exactly-
So-
conflict.
This kind of a graph is really intense.
Now, is this one?
That's the one. Well, that's actually his.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
his.
This is
That's-
page 17.
Page 17 is his.
Yeah. So we
Oh,
we
we're
have to
looking
go
at
to.
mine. We're not looking at
Yeah,
yours.
you got to go to the one.
On four-
Yours looks something like this.
Oh, and the green is what tells you I'm a
Yeah.
harmonizer.
Patience.
Got
yeah.
it.
So
That's
you're
my
going to be more
patience is green?
yeah, you're going to be more concerned with solving human problems than technical
Right.
problems. It's basically about saying, let's just get along. Let's just do it together. Let's
Uh-huh.
not fight.
Let me see your phone. It's on your phone, LeeAnn. You sent me mine. You didn't send me yours.
I only got one. I just forwarded you the one.
Maybe I got two in here.
Yeah, my printer's out of paper.
Did you get yours as well?
I guess maybe we don't have LeeAnn's.
You want me to resend it?
I only have. Let me look again. On this one from you, it says I have one attachment.
Yeah, that's just.
I sent separate emails for both
Let
of
me
them.
see, maybe.
I actually sent
Oh, here
yours
it is.
first. Yeah, there you go.
No.
This one's okay.
All right.
So-
Just look at it on your phone, LeeAnn.
This is when we're going to get a little deeper.
Page 17, right?
17. So there's three possible situations that cause this type of graph. Number one, some type of traumatic situation or experience when you were growing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not really having stability.
Yeah. I'm gonna start crying. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
So now you make sure that you're stable. So
That's right.
imagine like one of those industrial cranes, right? You stabilize yourself.
That's
It's like
right.
I'm not moving. Like I
That's
had enough in the
exactly right.
past. I'm gonna stabilize myself.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you need to predict what's gonna happen. You really, you have a really high need for security, stability, and reliability. I need to know what's gonna happen. Does that make sense?
yes, that's
I need to
why
make a list.
I need,
Yeah.
and I schedule. Everything is a schedule, and when we get off our schedule, it's taken me
Yeah.
many years to be able to let go of
Yeah.
that schedule.
We call that brain tension.
Brain tension.
So
Like
when
stress.
you don't follow that list, when you don't follow that routine, it creates tension in your brain.
That's right.
And the only way to reduce that tension is by going back and following the list.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because that's what feels natural to you.
Right.
So you go back to that default setting.
Because that keeps me stable.
That keeps you safe, that keeps you stable.
Right.
So
How crazy that you can read trauma from that.
Yeah.
Because that is absolutely what created that for me. 100%. That's so crazy.
I'm telling you, and we're just getting started.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Which
So
is
your
good
mother-
because you can bring that awareness, right?
Sure.
Whenever we experience trauma, it goes directly to our emotional brain,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Our limbic system.
Right.
So when we encounter a situation like the one we experience, it goes like danger, 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 danger. And the majority of the times you don't know why you're feeling a particular way, but you know that you don't feel good.
Right.
So it forces you. It hijacks your rational mind. And it tells you need to be safe. It doesn't matter what happens.
Right.
So this is somebody that's really, imagine yourself covered with armor, protecting yourself.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the way it works. So not really telling other people where you stand on an issue, but not really telling yourself where you stand on an issue.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
So emotionally speaking, there's rooms in your house that you don't visit.
That is true. Yes.
Does that make sense? Like, okay, no, I'm just going to skip this one and let's go to the other one.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want to go there.
Here,
Yes.
make sure the mic is just slide the mic out a little bit further so that it's in front
okay,
of you.
got
Yeah,
it.
that's fine. Keep going. I just want to make sure
Okay.
we're getting good.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah. There are houses I don't go in. Yeah. There's rooms where I
Like
go,
what?
yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff about my mom, I don't go in that room very much.
Yeah.
And sometimes some conflicts with me and you, I don't go into
Yeah.
very much.
It's like just going like this. La, 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 la,
Yeah.
la, la, la.
I'm good. I'm just going to keep
I'm good.
stable.
Everything's good. Everything's fine. If I close my eyes, it's going to go away.
Not any big conflicts,
No.
but if we ever have small stuff where I go, that actually really did bother me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep everything stable and happy.
Yeah.
I don't have any big issues.
So whatever
unless I haven't
you
gone into the house
perceive
to
as
the point where I really don't know.
oh, it's just a
But-
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a conflict in her mind.
For me, it's scary. It's really scary.
Talking like this,
Yeah.
that's yelling for her. Like he's
Yeah.
yelling at me. He was upset, and you're like, no, that's the way I talk. That's the way her brain works.
Yeah.
It's how it reacts.
That's how it
right.
reacts.
Like,
There's nothing wrong with it. That's just the way it is.
LeeAnn very quickly. That is a LeeAnn very quickly will write off a human being in a heartbeat if they do something crazy bitch type thing. If a chick does something that's a little crazy, LeeAnn will be like, I'm fucking done with her. I'm done. I don't have crazy chicks in my life.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done with her.
That's
Okay,
true.
so
I
here's the
can't do
thing.
that.
Well, now we're getting into another area.
That's different.
So
That's different.
yeah,
than,
you keep an emotional distance from people
yes.
because you want to avoid getting hurt.
Correct.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm done with you. Mental note, don't talk to that person.
Yes.
That's it.
She's done. I'm
She's done.
done. I'll be nice. I'll be friendly.
Yeah.
But you don't get inside.
So
Yeah.
I don't really know what you're thinking.
Right.
Does that make sense? There's a disconnect between your emotions and your face. So you might hate me.
Not all the time. Not
all the time. But you have that ability to mask your emotions.
Yes, I do. I have the ability to be
So
really nice to someone that I can't
If
stand.
you hate me and I show up and you need to be nice to me, you can pull it off.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
Would you
hey,
say I can
how
do
are
that?
you?
No, you would say I couldn't do that.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's also from you coming from the South. It's a very Southern characteristic. Oh, bless his heart, like that kind of person.
Partly, but I think it's partly from my childhood.
Yeah, you nailed it. You know, you hit the nail on the head with the with trauma. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's basically what it is. So you're going to try to avoid as many problems, challenges, and confrontations as you can, basically.
Right.
Because you need to be safe.
Right.
Now, the problem comes when it starts accumulating over time.
Yes.
Because this is the way you deal with things. You get a problem, you smile, you get it, you go to the closet, open the door, and you put it there. Mm-hmm. And then you come back. You have another problem, and you do the same thing. Over time, you start to fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And then when you open it, everything just falls out.
Right.
And that's when you had enough.
Right.
And that's when people freak out like, okay, I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So as a rule, whenever you're done with somebody or something, you're done.
Yeah, that's right.
Except with me,
Yeah.
she dumped me one time, and that was her thing. When I'm done, I'm done. When I'm done, I'm done.
I've always been when I'm done, I'm done. I've
Yeah.
never gone back to a boyfriend. I've never reconnected with a friend.
Yeah.
Ever.
That's
I've
your
never done
personality.
it. I can't.
Yeah.
I just don't do it.
Except for me, I made a mixtape.
He made a mixtape. He did.
So
What was it?
here's probably the reason why she's really family oriented
Please. say
and
that,
really
Dave.
protective, and she's all about keeping the family together.
Yeah.
She's like the glue that unifies the family.
Right.
Yeah.
So she will actually do things that she doesn't want to do in order to maintain that harmony.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Does
And
that
by the way,
make sense?
LeeAnn, just for anyone listening, she dumped me when we were early dating for like a couple months. It wasn't recently.
And it wasn't a dump. It was, I need a couple days off.
Yeah.
That's what it
was a
was.
dump. It was
I
a
need
dump.
a
So
couple
here's the
days.
problem.
It was a dump. It was a dump.
Give me
Here's
just
the
a couple
problem
days.
with different styles, right?
Right.
He attacks, you retreat.
That's absolutely right.
He's like, "What's wrong?" You're like, "I'm good." What's wrong? What's wrong? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Are you talking about
so
our
the
car
more
ride
you,
Saturday night?
the more you push, the more you get into
If you
a
ask me if
shell.
I'm in a bad mood, then yeah, now I'm in a bad mood.
Say that again.
Yeah, it's like getting into a shell. Like, I don't know what this person wants. I'm just gonna retreat into my shell and just go like, okay. Whenever I'm ready, I'll come out.
But the first part was the more you push,
Yeah, the more she's gonna move away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you need to give her time. Once again, patience, right? When I'm ready, I'll talk to you. Right now, I'm not ready.
That's so fascinating because when we argue, one of my flaws is that I don't always know what I feel in that exact moment. Sometimes I have to talk about it and figure, and as we're arguing, I'll go, oh,
Because
this is what
it's
I'm
not safe
feeling.
to let him know.
That's right.
What if you tell him
but
and then
doesn't
he uses
have
that against
problem.
you?
He doesn't have that problem. So he's like, this is my problem. I don't understand why you can't just tell me what the
So
problem
here's the
is.
thing.
But I don't
You're
even know
better
it myself.
On the instant, she's better on the constant. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
So you were like a firecracker.
Right.
Yep.
She's like TNT. Whenever she gets upset, like you got to move out and keep a distance because when she
Sorry.
blows up, like you don't want to be there
Yeah.
because all of that's been accumulating over time. You deal with things.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? Excuse me, what was that? Did you say something? And she's just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But it's not fine. So that's that difference in personality.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating because I think that's accurate. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We judge ourselves by our intentions, but we judge other people by their actions. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the action and you don't really know the intention behind it, we're going to make mistakes. And that's what causes a lot of conflict in relationships.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I'm not talking to you because you offended me.
Right.
Does that make sense? But he
Instead of
doesn't get it.
Why did he say that?
Why? Because if he was you, does that make sense?
Yes,
he
it
would be
does.
looking at it differently,
Differently, right.
based on his personality.
That's right. I understand. So yeah, does that make sense to you?
Well, I wasn't listening.
What he's saying is
Are we talking about me yet?
no.
ahead.
What he's saying is you react to the other person's actions without thinking what their intention was. So is their intention to be hurtful or is their intention to be
Yeah.
understood or what is their intention? I think
Yeah.
that's what he's saying, right? Was
Yep.
that did I understand
No,
that right?
that's
Okay.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And you got awareness of errors and mistakes. He doesn't.
I say that again.
So you have an awareness
Uh-huh.
of consequences.
Right.
He doesn't.
You mean in his personality? Oh, really? You
Yeah.
have no awareness of consequence?
So he's going to do things, and to him, it's like, what's wrong? He's not going to catch it. His filter
I see.
doesn't work with that. It's super low. So he's prone to risky behavior
Yeah.
because he's not thinking about it. He's feeling about it.
I'm not thinking about anything.
He's just like, oh, that looks fun. Let's try it. And
That's
you might be
true.
thinking, you're going to die. It's
Right.
like, what are you talking about?
But that you just described my entire relationship with Travel Channel.
Yes.
Is I'd be like, oh, let's do another fucking season. And you're like, you didn't enjoy the last season. I'm like, nah, this one's going to be great. We're going to Zanzibar.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because your brain lives in the future. Your brain lives in the past.
Mine lives in the past.
Yes.
Not even in the present?
Present and past. Why? Because in order for you to keep safe, you need to check your little booklet. Like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Yeah.
And then you go like, oh, okay. So back in 2000, yada, yada, yada.
Yes,
You
that's
consult
easy.
with the past.
I consult.
You
with
go
that.
like, hey, you want to do this? Yeah, sure. It's going to be fun. And last week you failed at it. And you're like, hey, who cares? Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Because there's no awareness of the past. You're just focusing on the future. What's going to happen next? Are we going to talk about me in the future? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're future oriented.
Yeah.
So you're going to be living in the future all the time. You live there.
That's so funny. That's what makes a dreamer, right?
Yeah, you're a visionary. You're a
Yes,
visionary.
exactly.
What's going to happen in the future? Is that going to be cool? What are we doing after this? Does that make sense?
I used to say that I enjoyed in television. There's a thing called a development deal where they pay you a lot of money to make a project, a TV show. I enjoyed the development deal process more than I enjoyed making the TV show. I enjoyed the idea of going to a room and talking about the show
And imagining.
it more
and
than
making it up.
making it. I
Right.
hated making it.
Yeah, because you're highly experiential.
What does that mean?
You have to go through the experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No.
No.
You like to experience things.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like you have to live it. You have to go through it. You need to experience what's going to happen. So you're more about the experience than the process. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I don't care about the details.
Right.
I don't care how it's going to get done. Let's just do it. Let's just make it up. So it's jumping off the cliff and building your wings on the way down.
That is my entire way.
Did you hear what he just said? It's like jumping off the cliff and building your wings on the way down.
Yeah. No, I heard.
That's
Hopefully I'll make
exactly
it.
How you work. That is
is
exactly
entirely-
how he works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating. You can get that from these questions because the questions are like they're interesting questions. I get it, but how much you draw out of that?
Yeah, it's about
such a
the
simple
integration
test.
of everything. So I'm
Right.
not just looking at one thing.
No,
I'm looking
yeah.
at everything.
All of them
So that's the
together,
way
yeah.
it works in my mind. I get all these things, I put them together, and I create like a picture
Right.
of your personality.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely like that. So wait, so what are, just out of curiosity, what do the graphs say? Like when we're looking at LeeAnn's graphs, what are the colors? What does that mean? What are
So
the colors?
they give me the 4 primary emotions.
Jesus.
And you're prone to mistakes also.
I just hit my toes so hard.
Who's
with
prone to
the-
mistakes? He is.
Yeah.
So the red, what's the red mean?
So that's anger.
Let me see.
Anger-
It's
Bump
my
that up.
chart.
Sorry.
Yeah. So anger is about there's a lot of misconceptions about anger.
Yeah.
Anger is about decisiveness.
Okay.
Are you going to the meeting? No.
Oh, yeah.
Done. When you're indecisive, are you going to the meeting? I don't know. Are you going? Who's going to be there?
Oh, now I want to look at my graph. Hold on.
Wait, hold
Which
on.
is you.
Yeah, which is totally me.
That's
So
you.
let me read this correctly. The concealed self is who I wake up as, right? And then the intended
So basically,
is,
just to clarify, we are born with a temperament,
yeah,
okay? Based on what happens to us,
Mm-hmm.
we adapt that temperament into character,
got it.
which is the first graph.
The
Okay.
first graph, intended
Yeah.
style, graph 1.
This one right here.
Okay, that's this one.
Yeah.
Graph. Okay.
And then the phase we give to the world would be the intended style. Why? Because it is intentional. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's
So-
interesting to me that I have less anger in my actual self than in my intended self. Isn't that?
Yeah.
See, let me-
So you become a little bit more decisive when you're dealing with people.
So what we're looking at for those of you
Does that make
not-
sense?
Oh yes.
What we're
Okay.
looking at is 4 different colors and a graph that goes up to 100.
Yeah.
The red, yellow, green, blue.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 of them. One's the concealed style and one's in the intended style.
Yeah. Concealed style meaning it is concealed from yourself and others. Does that make sense?
It's like your sub, like, your,
When I look at your graph, concealed, nobody would know that you are actually an introverted person
Yeah, okay, yeah.
because it is concealed from others.
Whew, my
And-
anger is really up there on my concealed self.
Yeah.
is it? Let me see.
I'm at 50.
No, but if you look at this chart, you're in the central area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in order for an emotion to be in play or to be actually seen behaviorally, it has to go above 50. Once you cross 50, then we say that emotion is in play.
Okay, so then let's talk about our in-play emotions. What's LeeAnn's green, which is through the fucking roof, and I'm taking a bath at 40.
Okay, so once again, that's steadiness or patience.
Oh yeah, I can see why.
So imagine, I'll give you another visual, right? So anger, hands, give me something to do.
yeah.
Okay, so decisive people need problems and challenges. Okay, so when they don't have problems or challenges, they create problems and challenges for themselves so they can fight them.
Oh wait, and that's LeeAnn?
No,
No, that's red.
that's the opposite of you.
That is the opposite of
Yeah,
LeeAnn.
I'm talking about a high anger emotion.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
just to
the red.
contrast things, right? Yeah, that's a red.
Okay.
So when you go low, you're trying to avoid problems and challenges. So instead of going through problems, you go around problems
Right.
because it's safer.
Right.
Okay? Highly dominant people don't care about safe. They just care about getting it done. They're after results. I need it right now. Well, it's not when are you going to have it ready? Think about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's anger right there. Doesn't make sense. It is what it is. So he's not a thinker. He's a doer.
Right.
And what is he doing? Creating problems and challenges.
So he can.
Does that make
solve them.
sense?
Yeah.
So if you're not aware of that, it becomes a problem.
Right.
Because now everybody is fighting you. Everybody's against you. So you're fighting everybody, which he is.
Right. That makes sense. That's crazy.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, when we go to optimism,
Which is yellow?
which is Mr. Bert right here is like through the roof. Optimism
Oh, my yellows.
is about
yellow.
people and connecting with people.
That's the
So
truth.
it's about limbic looping. It's about being the start of the show, center stage, on the spot.
Yeah.
That's what he likes.
So funny you said I get invites to do stand-up shows all the time, and all the time I always text who's on the show. I think most comics would want weaker comics on the show, but I always want the best comics because they're my friends, and I make my decisions based on which of my friends is going to be there because I love the hangout
Yeah.
in the green room.
Yeah. So you're all about people.
Oh, I'm definitely all about people.
Now your opposite thinks the opposite way. They don't really care who's going to be there because they're logical. So they make decisions based on information and facts. That's it.
right.
I don't really care who's going to be there.
And who's
I'm gonna be there.
Is blue logic?
Yeah, I wish I was that guy.
You wish you were that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I wish I was. I wish I didn't. Like, I wish that yeah, I have FOMO. I have hardcore FOMO. And so I think that's one of the things that I always want.
Yeah.
Like,
So basically, the majority of your decisions are going to be based on emotion.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. You're not a thinker. You're a feeler.
I am not a thinker.
It's not related to IQ
Intelligence.
Yeah.
or intelligence.
No.
It means
You
that's
make
fun.
decisions.
Let's
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah.
So you're reactive. That's why.
Yeah.
So your brain is like a beehive. There's so many things happening. So you're doing one thing, and then you find yourself doing another thing, and then you go like, "What was I doing?" So you're like all over the place because you thrive in chaos.
Yeah, I do.
You're better like once again on the instant, showing up and boom, let's just do it.
Yeah,
Let's see what happens.
yeah. I like that. I like the Cinderella story aspect.
Why?
of it.
Because it works for your brain. So if you had to sit down and actually plan everything step by step,
Fuck.
yeah, it's like jamming pencils into your eyes.
Oh, when I write a script, I just start writing it. Everyone else likes to have an outline. I go, no. I just want to write it. I want to get lost in the vision of it and just start writing it.
Yeah?
I can't just sit there and go,
No.
this next scene will be about.
Yeah, because you're basically living out of your limbic system, which is, instinctive, intuitive, and reactive. So you're one of the persons that might go like, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
And then you're right. And you're like, holy crap. And they're like, how did you know that? And you're like, I don't know. It didn't feel right. Or I don't know about that person.
Yep.
What's wrong with them? I don't know. It just gives me a bad feeling, bad vibe. And then something happens and you're like, I knew it. But you cannot explain it. Why? Because it's an emotion.
Yeah, I get like that a lot. Like I can go, oh, this is not going to be what I think it's going to be.
Yeah. That's called intuition.
I've got great intuition.
Yes, you
Yeah.
do.
That's why I fought to get you back into my life.
Because you knew I had
Yeah.
this big green.
I needed
So you're
that
gonna be
green
more. You're gonna be
to make
more.
up for my green deficit.
You will be more reactive. So you're operating out of that fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
That is so true.
So if there's a garden hose, tangle on the grass, you might go like, "Oh, snake!"
Yes, that is absolutely true. But I have a question about my graph. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's wrap up LeeAnn into a nice tight bow.
Okay.
And then
move on to you.
we'll get into me, and I want to find out what trauma happened to me.
So what I find interesting about my graph is my natural self is this so high green, right?
Yeah.
But I'm still over 50 in the yellow and the blue, just
Yeah.
barely.
Just a little bit.
But then when you move over to that one, my yellow is much higher than my green.
because when you're dealing with people, you become more open.
Oh.
It's like letting your guard down a little bit.
I see.
But you don't go all the way down.
Right.
You go like this. So if you were playing cards, right? You got your cards, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna show you some cards,
Right.
but not all of them.
Right. Does
that make sense?
Yes, it does. Because, I mean, if the green is 98 in my natural self, it's only 66 in my walking around self.
Yeah.
Which means I'm much more open.
Yeah, it's you coming out of the shell. It's going like, okay, everything's good.
Okay. So
But as soon as something happens, you go.
I
back in.
see. So when there's conflict, I go into that graph. When there's no conflict, I'm in
Whenever
this more
we're
balanced.
experiencing conflicting emotions, when there's pressure, when there's stress, we go back to the original.
I see. Okay, so this is my like walking around self.
Yeah.
That's pretty balanced, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty balanced. I mean, they're not that much difference like it is in the other chart where I have this drastic spike. Okay,
So
I understand that.
That's the way you behave.
Got
Okay.
it.
Now, when you get into what you value in the world, that's going to be on page 42.
42.
So
Oh, too far.
when I look at your graph, I can tell that you are a really creative person.
Did you laugh at that? Or are you reading
no,
something else?
No, yeah, it's something on mine. It says I have a big dick. Keep going.
So see that V right here? That's creativity. Like a designer, somebody that likes to do crafty things.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
things like that. You value freedom a lot. Like freedom, independence, uniqueness. Thinking outside of the box. Being different. You value that a lot. Vivid imagination as well. Here's something interesting. You're all about putting other people first.
Yes.
So that's that yellow one. That's people. And yourself would be the economic.
Myself would be what?
That yellow one, altruism. So you're asking yourself, what are people getting out of this? You're not really asking, what am I getting out of this?
Right.
So over time, you end up with the short end of the stick.
I see.
And then you end up resenting that person,
That's
but
me.
you don't say anything because you believe you're going to be a bad person.
That's me.
That is exactly what I do. Is I
Yep.
go, well, I can't put myself first because then I'm not a good mother, not a good wife, not a good teammate.
You believe in your
That's right.
brain that you're being selfish.
I do. That is absolutely right. That's from that green trauma.
Yeah.
That's what created that issue. Is
Yeah.
that you're absolutely right about that. Anytime I put myself first, I feel very selfish.
Yeah.
So we have to fix that because one day she's gonna go into that closet where everything's shoved in and it's gonna
Get a
fucking explode all over me because I let you do the road when you were a feature. I worked at that crappy job. I did this.
What?
All the stuff, and then, well, I should have been writing. I should have done that podcast. Da 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 da. All the
So-
creative things that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
that
Here's
you
the thing.
don't.
You will imagine more than you actually do. And sometimes you will settle for the actual thought of doing it without doing it.
That's so funny you say that.
Like, it'll be so great in the future and it's good, yada, yada, yada. So you start going into fantasy land.
Right. I've been doing that this week.
It will happen
With
at
what?
some point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've been doing that this week. I just thought of the title of a book, and I keep writing this title of the book and what the book's about in my head,
So it's like you're
but not sitting
That's
down
so
and
funny.
writing
pacifying
it.
your brain. You're going like, okay, it's okay. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
The total opposite of what you did. I had. It was a girl and I were talking about writing a movie together. And I didn't think of the idea of the movie or anything. I just thought of the poster, and I've been so excited about it. The name of the movie is called The Fat Friend, and it's just me and him pointing at each other. I don't even know what the movie would be, but I just like the idea of the poster, The Fat Friend, and we're both looking like our thumbs pointing to him and his thumbs pointing at me. But I don't know what the movie's about.
That's really funny because that stroking my brain thing.
Yeah.
That's really helpful to know because
Yeah.
then I get in this really bad cycle of going. You have all these great ideas, but you never do anything.
But
so
here's the
you're-
thing with passive styles. Once you go later into life, right?
right?
You look back and you're like, man,
Yeah, I wish I'd done that.
Things that I missed, and I don't even know why I didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's going to take, once again, because of that patience, it will take that long for you to actually look back
Right.
and start regretting things.
Right.
But you will regret things if you don't do
You
them
will.
now.
Yeah. Okay.
You will.
You will regret them, and you'll probably
I already
blame
regret
me.
things.
She'll resent me.
But here's a problem. Whenever you're regretting things, you will have a tendency of being really hard on yourself.
Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
do. It's my fault.
See?
It's always my
Now
fault.
that is a problem.
Yes, that is
Because
exactly what I do. Because I'll say
You're bringing yourself down
that's
and
exactly
unconsciously
what I do, yeah.
justifying. Like, well, if I'm a bad person, then I didn't deserve that, so it didn't happen.
Exactly what I do. It's exactly what I do.
And that's a problem.
And that's the problem. So
Yeah.
then it's good to know that stroking thing is something that allows me not to be uncomfortable enough
Yeah.
to take an action.
And why? Because you go to the past, remember?
Right,
Like
yes.
all those opportunities. You
Right.
need to stop that and go like, okay,
right.
there's nothing I can do.
Right.
But from now on,
Right.
it's going to be different.
Right.
And
right.
I need to give myself a break.
right.
Because that's the only way. If you keep holding yourself down
Mm-hmm.
and being hard on yourself, you're going to get stuck. You're not moving.
That's exactly right. That's exactly the cycle I do. It's like a cycle. I talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
About
And
this
it goes
cycle.
back to that safety concern.
Right.
So we have survival patterns.
It's so funny, when you have a trauma in your life, you think that it doesn't. When at the age I'm 47, I've been in therapy a long time, and I think it's worked
Hey,
out.
Edit out her age. Keep going.
Shut up. But I keep thinking, well, I've managed through it. I'm really this balanced chart, right? That is that balanced person. But it's amazing when you start digging deeper and you take a simple. It's not simple, but sort of simple behavior. These simple questions. It was
Yeah.
nothing complicated to answer in your test. It was really easy. How that is revealed and how
Yeah.
permanent some of that is.
Yeah.
And as hard as you work to overcome or surpass, it's always
They're
work.
behavioral patterns,
Right.
right? It's like going into the jungle.
Right.
It's like, okay, there's a path. Or I have to make my own path.
That's right.
Now the brain wants to save energy. So it goes like, well, that might take a little longer, but it's there.
Right.
So you take it.
Right.
Unless you go like, yeah, but I'm losing like 2 weeks if I go that way. So let's take this one.
Let's
So
make
our
our
brain automatically will go into that survival, preserving energy type of scenario.
Right.
So unless you have that awareness, it's going to work against you.
So what?
Got it.
So if LeeAnn was running a company, what would we tell that person? Like, what would of what we learned from LeeAnn? What can we tell her to make sure that she doesn't run this company into the ground?
I'm so patient. I would never run the company to the ground. I'd run myself into the ground.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So it's about, so all of this can change. That's the good news.
Right.
Okay. So all of this can change. It takes time. So we need to be realistic about everything. It will take time, but it's possible.
Right.
So it's about rewiring your brain. Okay. So one of the things that we do is basically whenever you do something, and it doesn't really matter what it is, getting coffee, going shopping, whatever, you need to get your brain's attention.
Two things she doesn't do.
I just make coffee.
No, but you make coffee. You would never go to get coffee. I love getting coffee, and I love shopping. And she hates shopping. And she hates getting coffee. She makes coffee.
His
and
point is something that anybody would do any day.
Yeah,
Right?
whatever, like-
Yeah.
Whatever it is, doesn't
Right.
matter. So you need to get your brain's attention, right? It's like pinching yourself and going, you did a good job.
Oh.
Because right now what's happening with your brain is you're celebrating your defeats more than you're celebrating your victories.
Interesting.
Why? Because you built that network that automatically goes, this is what I did wrong. So if you do 100 things and 99 of those were positive, your brain's going to go directly to the one that's negative.
Yes, it does. To the mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what you've learned.
Yeah.
You've taught your brain to behave that way.
Right.
To look for the negative within yourself.
Right. And beat myself up for that mistake.
Yeah. So you need to reverse that. And the only way to do it is by saying it out loud.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not really thinking about it.
Right.
because that doesn't do anything.
Right.
So you need to say it, LeeAnn, you did a good job.
Okay.
It's a win. Because the brain doesn't know the difference between winning the lottery or just winning something.
I'm going to be hearing this every morning.
No, that just you say that
Yeah.
goes, what asshole walks around every day and says, good job, LeeAnn, you just did the laundry. Fucking awesome job, LeeAnn. You
So
just,
it's about creating
You know?
that expectation.
Right.
Because so imagine doing that for like a month. Every single day. Right?
I did that yesterday on Instagram stories. I was like, I killed it. Look at my closet. I'm a machine. I fucking destroyed it. I celebrate myself non-fucking stop.
Yeah, you don't have a problem with
I don't have a problem celebrating myself.
Oh, no. Not your problem, no. That's not your problem.
So what
Okay.
you want to create is basically that expectation.
Yes.
So your brain's going to go, wait a minute. Whenever something comes along, and LeeAnn, do you think you can do this? You might be like, well, I've been winning for a month. Yeah, I can do it.
Right.
Oh,
But if you don't do that, you're going to be like, I don't think so. I know somebody that's great at it, but not me.
Oh, I do that all the time. I know somebody who can do that.
Yeah. Because you're devaluing yourself. That's about putting other people first. Does that make
Right.
sense? So that
Yes.
leads to missing opportunities, like all kinds of negative
Right.
stuff.
it's like you with hand jobs. Like you think you can't give them. And you go, I'm just bad at them. And
I'm
you,
pretty
you
confident I can't. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm
and
not
you
sure I
just-
need to reward myself for that. I'm good.
You need to practice.
I'm good.
You need to get good at them so you feel confident.
So,
and I'll
yeah.
say it while you do it.
God.
Good job, LeeAnn. Good job, LeeAnn. Good job, LeeAnn.
Awesome. That sounds like a great plan.
So does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Thank
and you need to know that. So right now you're waiting to be a good person. Right now you're waiting to be something. Because you don't really know your purpose in life right now.
Oh, you fucking hit that out of the park.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
You are completely lost.
Oh, completely
And you don't know-
lost.
you don't know
I
what you
if I
bring.
You're
completely.
completely lost. Because
So-
once these kids get out of this house, what the fuck are you going to do with your life?
Well,
Here's what it means.
You are
Okay.
completely lost.
I don't know about completely.
You're
Completely is a little overwhelming.
He said it. He read your assessment. You are completely lost.
But completely is a little overwhelming.
But it doesn't mean that you are. You believe you are.
Oh, I believe
You
as
believe
far
you
as
are.
like what is my purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, I totally believe
Yeah.
that. But I don't think
You've
I'm
said that
completely.
to me. You've said that to me maybe 1,000 times.
Yeah, as to my purpose. Yeah.
She said,
don't
I mean,
know.
legit said those words.
Yeah.
What legit, when we finished our renovation, she says, well, when this is done, I'll have no purpose in life. You said that
I did,
verbatim.
I did.
And you said, maybe we'll put in a pool. And then once the pool got done, I still have no purpose.
No purpose. Yes,
Yeah.
I do say that.
You said those exact words that he just said, I have no purpose in life.
I do say that. My purpose, I say this all the time. My purpose is to facilitate other people's happiness.
Yeah.
That is my purpose. And I
So,
don't really like that purpose.
The problem with that is that you're depending on circumstances outside of yourself
Right.
to basically fill that void. You need to bring that from the inside
Intrinsic.
out.
Right.
Yeah.
Intrinsic value.
Yeah. Because that's where the problem lies intrinsically.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you are, and this is based on the numbers. Okay. And I know you're going to just listen to it and intellectually you're going to be like, okay, yeah. But you're going to be like, no, I'm not. You're 10 times the person you believe you are.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. Oh, wait, who was supposed to say that?
Does that make sense?
I think there's a little part of me that knows that.
Yeah.
I think there's a little piece
I
that
think it's that one of those little
knows that. But
one of those little rooms that you don't go into.
it is exactly right. That is one of the, I'm going to cry. That's right.
But you have to believe it and you have to accept it. Because once you accept that, your purpose will come as a result of that. Because
That's
right now
so
you're
funny,
you're
because-
working against yourself.
What I say to myself, these are the two things that happen in my brain. Sorry.
It's okay.
Is that I go, I've lived this amazing life. I grew up in a town of 1,800 people, tiny town. And I live here with this person who's so visionary and creative and out there, right? So that part in that room goes, I have to be pretty special. But then that brain goes, don't do that because then you'll get hurt. People see who you really are.
Yeah.
And they'll say, who do you think you are for thinking you're
It's a lie. It's a lie.
special? And who do you think you are that you
It's a lie.
can have that. You can't have that. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. Just stay small and quiet.
Yeah.
So that, and just be grateful for
It
what
wants
you
to
have.
keep you safe.
That's
but
exactly right.
we don't
because
grow
as
by
a child.
staying
I had
down.
to stay small.
Yeah.
I had to stay unseen, unhurt, to stay safe, or it was very not safe.
Yeah.
So then, to look at that part that goes, wow, I've really lived through a lot. Why am I just okay with this little bit for me?
Yeah.
I shouldn't be, but it's
no.
really scary to go, no, I actually kind of want to be this big thing.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a process.
it's really hard.
It's like anything. It's a process.
And you think what are you laughing?
I'm not laughing. I'm listening.
And you think, like I said, you think you work so hard in therapy and you work so hard on yourself and you get to this place where you go, oh, I'm doing so great.
Here's the thing with therapy, and this is what I really love about what I do. You can actually look at the problem visually.
Oh,
You don't need to talk to me. You don't need to tell me about who you are. I
Right.
will know who you are by looking
Right.
at this.
Right.
And I'm like, there's a problem.
Right. There's the problem. There is a problem.
There's what we need to fix.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that we can fix about ourselves. Nobody's perfect.
Sure.
But there's small things and then there's big things.
Right.
I go to the big thing because once that goes away, all the other stuff will fall into place.
Balances out.
Yeah.
Okay. So then if I were a college student and you just read that, what would you say to them about what they should be looking at? To do
As far
for
as
life?
what?
Do for life.
I will take you to take your time and I will tell you to try different things. So that's one of the problems with people nowadays. You have to go to college and you have to do this because I was a lawyer. You need to be a lawyer. I
Right.
was a doctor.
No.
You need to be a doctor. It's like, no.
No.
You have to look at their brain type
Right.
and what's best for them.
Right.
It's like my brother-in-law. He went to college for like 5 years and right now he's baking bread.
And he's happy, right? Yeah.
It's like
That's what matters is
Yeah.
what makes you happy.
our brains develop completely until we're about 25, 26 years old. So if you're making a decision when you're 18, 19,
Yeah.
not a good idea.
I decided to be a comic when I was 25 years old.
Oh, and it stuck.
Yeah, there you go.
I sometimes wish I had maybe gone, tried other things. I just tried this.
You tried
And
a
it
shirt
worked.
folder.
I was a sweater folder.
I was Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble. That's it.
You made coffee in a law firm.
I made coffee in a law firm. Who did I tell that story to the other day?
I don't remember, but I remember hearing you
So
tell
here's the thing with your profile. You will accomplish more things by quote unquote mistake than most people are trying to actually do on purpose.
Wait,
That
are we
makes-
done with LeeAnn? Can we celebrate mine?
If that makes
it.
sense.
Oh, we can be done with me.
No.
I think I've had enough.
I think that's a great way to end yours, but keep adding when we start mine, let's find out why. Because I've always wondered why LeeAnn chose me as a husband. Because I was like something. I remember. I think one of my friends said something must have happened to her as a kid where she decided to stay with you. And I was like, yeah, definitely, because
No normal person would do this.
I'm not conventional. I'm not
Yeah.
safe. Like on paper, I look like someone who would be a philanderer.
Here's the thing. You have a criminal mind.
Yeah,
You have a criminal mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
You do. This is not to say that you're going to actually do something bad.
Yeah.
But there's that tendency.
Yeah,
How funny. Now, what made you see that in his stuff?
yeah. Let's start looking at my graphs.
Let's get into this. Is going to be good. So,
Well, I'll tell you why I'm with you, I think, based especially
Okay.
on my profile, is that I am really creative. Before we got married, I was a writer.
Yeah.
And I think I live vicariously through your let's jump off the cliff and build the wings on our way down.
as a rule, you will look to more quote unquote active styles.
Right.
And
Because I'm
you're
passive.
just going to be, going along the ride.
Right.
But he's going to be the one taking the first step. He's the initiator.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Does that make
And you
sense?
got similar values as well.
Really?
Yeah, you're creative as well.
Who, LeeAnn or me?
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very creative.
Say that V again.
What's where are you
Unconventional
looking
V.
at?
That's
that's
page 40,
that's
page 42.
Okay.
So if you look at that,
Page 42.
so the more pronounced this is,
Yeah.
the more creative you are.
Oh,
Okay.
I got a good
So
V too.
this right
You got a
here,
better V than me.
this right here is thinking outside the box,
Which one?
being unique, right?
Yeah.
Having freedom, autonomy, and independence. So something that's really, really important for you is freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you're looking for freedom right here, really open-minded, and then on your behavior, you want freedom as well.
Yeah.
So if somebody tells you, okay, I'm gonna need you to do this and this and the other, and I want you to be exactly like this, you might go like, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
you mean when we first got married?
and then you'll do whatever you want.
When I first got married, I said, "Hey, baby, can you take out the garbage?" You went, "You are changing who I am." I don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't change who I am. Asking me to take out the garbage. I was like,
Freedom is a must for you.
Garbage.
Like you don't have freedom, might as well die.
I remember I have a really hard time taking directions from people. Like when they tell me what to do, I go, I think I always wrote it was like some sort of personality flaw of mine where I go, I don't respect you. I don't think I know that
You get
know.
a problem with authority.
I have a real problem. I have a real problem being told what to do.
Yeah.
Like I have a genuine problem with being told what to do.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. Like, I remember one time that my buddy Croy called me up and he was like, "Hey, I got this job. I'd been on TV. This is gonna sound crass to anyone listening, but I don't care. But I'd been on TV for like 2 years straight, and I was in between jobs. I had money, but Croy called me up and he goes, "Hey, I got this job. We're playing video games tomorrow." And it pays like $1,000. And I was like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "Whoa, nice." And he's like, "Are you in?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I could play video games for the day for $1,000. And the guy called me up and he said, Corey goes, "I'll let the guy call you." So the guy calls me up and he goes, "Hey, is this Bert?" I didn't really like the way he said that. I didn't like the way he answered he
Like
called
really
me.
authoritative.
Yeah.
Right?
And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, so listen, I'm going to need you on set at 6 a.m. I was like, "Are we playing at 6 a.m.? He goes, "No, you start playing at noon, but I need you here at 6 a.m. And I was like, why? And he was like, "What do you mean why? It's for $1,000. So get here at 6 a.m. And I was like, "But if you don't need me till noon, I don't understand why I need to get there at 6.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do?" He goes, "Well, you're going to fill out paperwork, and I want to make sure you're here." And I was like, "What's the latest time I can come there?" And he goes, "The 6 a.m. It's a job. What are you talking about? What's the latest you can?"
Yeah.
And then I had this epiphany, and I went, "Oh, you don't matter to me. You don't count in my life. You don't get to tell me what to do. I have money. I don't need $1,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to choose not to do this." And he was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
I said, "I'm going to choose not to do this." And he goes, "Hold on. What do you mean choose not to? It's $1,000 to play video games." I went, "Yeah, I don't like your tone with me." And I don't want to do it. By the way, if you spoke
"What's wrong?"
to anyone, I want to see if Stacy's. This is such a fucking core, like to the point where it's problematic.
Yeah.
Because we would do call times for. I'm gonna see if Stacy's on if I can get hold of Stacy. She just had a baby.
She had another baby?
Yeah, she had another baby. I think she had a girl.
That's great.
Maybe she didn't want me sharing that. She would
Too late.
Stacy's one of my favorite human beings. One of my closest friends for a few years. I spent every day with her, and she would set call times in the morning. Call time is when the whole crew has to get together, and she is not answering my phone calls lately. I guess she does have a baby.
Probably.
Yeah.
So that's...
And she would set call times. She'd be like, "Okay, call time 6 a.m. Wheels up 6 a.m." And I go, "Hold on, for everybody?" And she goes, "Yeah, for everybody." I go, "Wait, what's the latest I can go?" It was such a problem that our old boss, Patrick, one time said call times at 6 a.m. And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Wheels up 6 a.m. You don't ask why." And I said, "Yeah, but what time am I going to start working? Because I understand the whole crew's got to get there and build their gear. But what time you need me on set? Because when you need me on set is different than when you need them on set." And he was like, "No, wheels up at 6 a.m. I want you outside at 6. This is literally the second episode we shot of Trip Flip." And he was late. And I was there. And I had it was almost like a fire burning inside of me that I got it to the point where he lost his fucking mind with me and flipped out on me because I couldn't stop needling him that he was late. I said, I must have misunderstood you. Did you say heels up? Was I supposed to get on my tippy toes? Or did you say wheels up? And he goes, Bert, now's not the time. And I go, I'm confused. When you said wheels up, you meant you were going to be awake too, right? And he was like, Bert, now's not the time. And I was like, I was awake and I was out there. Yeah. And I didn't get any explanation. I just was curious. And he lost his fucking mind. I have such a problem with authority. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I know how.
Yeah, here's the thing. So whenever you look at authority, whenever you look at rules, whenever you make a regulations, or you look at regulations, you will make a determination. Like, is this rule worth of me following? Does that make sense? Like, you will question it with your own perception and be like, you know what, that's stupid. I'm not going to follow that.
It's so interesting because when I took the assessment, one of the questions were, like you had to like things and then put them in order of which you liked them. And one was, I don't like people who break rules, but I don't think that all the rules apply to me. Yeah. And I didn't know how to put that in the list because I was like, I don't like people that cut lines. Yeah. But I also Chris Porter called me out on this. I also don't feel like lines apply to me sometimes. Yeah. So if I'm in line, I don't like that you're cutting the line. Yeah. But I know that I fly a lot on American and that I can board before the other line. So I will jump in front of that. Yeah. But that's part of the rules. The rules in place say that. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm fucking spinning out about fucking.
Yeah. You felt pretty strongly about that.
Yeah.
So you will make a determination once again based on. So another way to put it, you do things by the book, but it's your book.
Yeah.
So if you feel like it, you can just erase it and change the rule. And now it applies. Now it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That works perfectly for me.
For you, but how does it work for other people that are in your life? Business associates?
It really depends.
Wives?
If that is a problem to them, then,
Yeah.
Sometimes we play by a rule book that I haven't been privy to. So I'm like, there's a rule here?
What was the rule book?
I didn't know that was a rule.
What?
Yeah.
Well, for instance, okay, here's a perfect example. We had an argument, and he said, sometimes it would be nice if you see that when I'm vulnerable, you just walk over and give me a hug. You just don't ever do that. So last night, he was in a vulnerable place, and I walked over and gave him a hug, and he went, no, I don't want that right now. I don't want that hug. And I went, but wait, we just had an argument like last week where you told me you needed a hug in those times. Yeah. Now I'm giving you the hug. Wait a minute. Now I don't know when I'm supposed to do it and when I'm not supposed to do it.
He's a feeler.
Yes.
So I feel like you giving me a hug, but a couple days later, I don't feel like it.
But how does the person that lives with him know when is
LeeAnn?
one and when is the other?
Put it in your closet, okay? Yeah. Put it in your closet, and we'll deal with it. When all the shit explodes when you hit 50, we'll deal with it then. Hopefully, you're writing a goddamn book.
That's the hard part.
It's like going on a roller coaster. You never know.
I never know.
It's like, okay, and then
the rules change all the time.
It's challenging.
On time for everything job related, but I can't get him out the door if we're going for walking the dogs or taking the kids to school, or if it doesn't apply to making money, then it's
that's
a different 15 minutes late, and I'm like,
that's interesting that you mentioned that about money. So if you look at that blue line, economic, right?
Yeah.
So the higher you go, the more you start asking yourself, what am I getting out of this? Right? But in your case, you value freedom more than you value money, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So if you look at those little boxes, see those little gray boxes?
Yeah.
So 7 out of 10 people are inside that little box.
In the boxes that I have?
Yeah. So if you look at your individualistic line, so it's about being unique, right? About having that freedom. You're probably 1 out of 1,000 people.
Really?
You're so high. That's the highest I've seen.
In freedom?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a difference between I want to be free and I need to be free. You need to be free.
I definitely need
you're
to be free.
96.
Yeah.
And by the way, okay, now how does that, because I have a problem with this too. Because I need to be free so much. I've been turning down projects that have been coming my way. Just because I'm like, nah, I don't think I can take rules from. I don't think I can like. I just have been. I'm really happy doing stand up and doing my podcast and then creating whatever I create and putting it out there. And I don't believe that I believe that in this business there are the vast majority of people have never made anything and don't know what they're talking about and don't have any vision or any creativity whatsoever. Yeah. I think more of them need to put shit in their closet and shut their fucking mouths. And so I'm like, nah. But I think that's to my detriment because I think that there could be, I feel like if I could come back from that a little bit, it might be better for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'm almost like too much need to be free.
Well, it's a catch-22, I guess. So once again, intellectually, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? But if you were to actually do that, now you're experiencing that tension.
Yeah, I don't want
and you
that.
got to deal with that.
I don't want
and
that.
And that, in my opinion, can be more problematic over the long run.
I fell off a waterfall.
It will be unsustainable over time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To back yourself off would be unsustainable.
It's like crossing your leg, right? You can do it for 5 minutes, but if you stay there for a week,
your legs, that's
not going to be good for you.
You end up with a baby leg.
You're going to be hurting. So you like to be independent, self-willed, and stubborn. It's like my way or the highway. Pulling all the stops.
I hope anyone that I worked with on Travel Channel for the past 7 years is listening to this right now going,
yeah,
no shit. Why didn't you give me this assessment before we hired him?
And you're really open-minded.
I'm very open-minded.
Really open-minded, to each his own. If it doesn't affect me, go for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Marching to the beat of my own drum all day long.
Wow. I kind of want to do these with Isla in Georgia.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going about me. Whatever the good things are about me.
So
just the good things?
Yeah, leave out the bad ones.
So once again, you like to be on the spotlight, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a must for you. So when we get into axiology, now we're getting into the really interesting stuff, right? You look at the world outside of yourself and you look at a lot of negativity. So if I were to tell you right now, you are, for lack of a better word, a little discouraged or to some extent a little depressed.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Yeah. You have a mild depression. Now, when people look at you in the outside, they will never know that.
Never.
But when I look at it, I can tell.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with something emotionally strong right now.
Right now, I definitely am.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm very frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm very frustrated with everything going on, with the politics and the witch hunts online, and like.
So you will perceive yourself as, I'm not really part of this world.
Wow, that's so fucking interesting. Because I don't tweet about it, because I don't tweet about those things because I go, you know what? I'm above that, or I'm different than that. I'm going to tell you why that is. Okay.
So high influencing styles, that optimism, right?
Yeah.
They got 3 fears. And sometimes they're conscious, sometimes they're unconscious, but you will make sure that you everything that you possibly can to avoid those 3 things.
Okay, what are they?
Okay. So number 1, not being liked.
You have no
ding.
fucking idea.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Tom Green blocked me on Twitter on accident one time.
Yeah, you were. Yeah,
Unraveled.
And I unraveled, going like, "What did I do? What did I do? What did I know I did?"
So
something.
whenever something like that happens, your reaction is going to be to approach that person and be like, "What happened?"
And I can't control it.
Yeah,
Like
it's a reaction.
Yeah, and then like I spiraled for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
and I said things online like, "Hey, someone reach out to Tom Green, find out what I did and whatever." And then Tom Green just texted me and was like, "My bad, I don't know how that happened."
You're like, "God,"
and then I was like, "Wow, I could have done none of that."
Yeah.
Spiraling. It was a real spiral. It was a pacing.
And that's part of that personality trait.
The optimism.
The optimism. So not being liked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Fear of being misjudged or misrepresented.
Oh my God. Ding ding again.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Misjudged or misrepresented. Boy, that's I can't wait to hear number 3 because number 1 and 2.
Man,
spot
that
on.
defines.
They will drive your behavior. They're going to drive literally your behavior.
These 3 drive your behavior.
Yeah. And the last one, number 3, is losing. So your motivation in life is not winning, it's avoid losing. So you don't want to be perceived as a loser by other people's opinion of you, basically.
Would you say that's accurate, Bert?
Oh man. I hope Segura's
like-
listening to this. By the way, these are a lot of the conversations that we've had over the past year.
Is that you just want to be liked?
So there's people that run towards success.
Right.
There's other people that run away from failure. You're the second one.
I don't want to be a failure.
There you go. That's your driver. That's your motivation, and that's actually stronger
than wanting success. Yeah, but you
because
know what?
you will do whatever you need to do in order to not be a loser.
Yeah, you know what? One way that illustrates that to me is that you never begrudge anybody else their successes.
Yeah.
You are so happy for every person that's your quote unquote competition, so to speak, other comics.
I don't
but
feel
you
like I
don't
have
see it that
competition
way
as comics.
because you just don't want to lose. It's not that you want to win.
Yeah. So you get a balance. Whenever you look at people, we call that empathy.
Yeah.
You have a balanced view, meaning I know there's a negative, but I know there's a positive. Does that make sense? So whenever you're interacting with people, they're going to come away liking you, knowing exactly where you're coming from, or feeling like they want something because you make them feel like that. So you are an extremely... you're really good when it comes to communicating to other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I was mentioning, you have an awareness of, there's bad people out there as well.
Yeah. Man, the misrepresented is fucking...
Yeah.
That defines like a whole period of a period of my life when it was keeping me awake.
Yeah.
Like it was like, I mean, this was part of the reason I went into therapy. Mm-hmm. It's because someone was telling a story about me that was untrue.
Oh yeah.
And it was making me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because everything you do you're going to run that filter through it.
It's so funny because even like Joe and Tom and Ari, when we do a podcast, they'll joke. It's a joke, but they'll go like, "You're easily 260 pounds," and I know that people are listening, so they can't see me, and I know that they're joking. But I go, "I'm not 260 pounds," and then they'll go 270. Like, and it's a joke, but in my head, I'll start spinning out, going, "Guys, like, no, I'm not. Like, you're much bigger than Tom. Tom and I are the exact same weight. I'm doing it right now. Tom and I are the exact same weight, but the idea that people believe that I'm much fatter than him makes me crazy.
Yeah,
like it is. But I said to. My motivation of not losing is insane. With Sober October, my motivation, and that's when I think one of the things my therapist said, was like, it's a bad idea to get into sobriety as a challenge. You should want to do sobriety.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And he was like, well, what is your motivation? I said, spite. And he goes, what do you mean spite? I said, I just don't want to lose. I'm not going to lose. I refuse to lose. I call that my Mickey Mantle gene. I refuse to fucking lose. I literally say, and it's because I'm punitive. Like I'm punitive with myself.
Yeah.
If I get up in the morning and I'm hungover and I don't feel like doing anything, I go, no. You don't get to do that. If you wanted to be the party boy last night, get the fuck up. But it's so funny.
So here's the thing. A lot of people looking at from the outside in, they might be like, well, Bert, he's competitive. Here's the thing. You are competitive with yourself.
Yes.
More than you are with anybody else.
Oh,
and that's why you can like rejoice when other people, achieve something.
Dude, I think
you don't care.
It's one of the things that anyone listening to this podcast knows, that when I have a really good podcast, like the one right now, this one's an oddity in that, but what I'm about to say, is when I'm a fan of someone's, and then they'll come in and they'll go like, but you're a big comic too. Like, how are you a fan of mine? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I come at it as a fan first. I've always been a fan of. I can still go watch. I will watch Rogan, Joey, Ari, Tom, Nate Bargatze, Sal, fucking Burr, Jeffries, Stanhope, all of those guys. I guess theoretically you would say are my competition. I don't see them as competition. I'd assume
contemporaries,
but I'd assume none of them would ever call me their competition either. By the way, all those are much bigger comics than me. You know, Jim Jeffries is doing fucking 4 nights at the Wilbur. I'm just doing 1 night. So like February 3rd, second show still has some tickets available. But like, I don't look at them as competition. I enjoy watching Jim Jeffries' Comedy Central show clips, whether they put on YouTube. I love them. I love Daniel Tosh. I love Tosh.0.
And you know, that's part of your empathy. So empathy is about looking at other people as unique, right? Looking at what they're really good at. So you have a crystal clear view when it comes to people. So you can recognize, once again, their positives and their negatives. So if somebody is good at something, you're going to be like, well, he's good at it.
Yeah.
There's people that go like, well, he's good at it, but I'm better than he is.
I've had that problem. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Or they don't really look at people in a clear way.
I look at people in a very crystal clear way.
Yeah, you do. Now, when you look at yourself, so you wanna get
real deep?
a little technical and deep. So let's look at numbers, right?
Okay.
Let's look at numbers. So when you look at yourself and how you value yourself, and how you see yourself as unique and all of that, so you have a bias of 66% negative against yourself. So you will look at more negative within yourself than positive.
Yeah, but isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like when I look at myself as a comic, I just see the parts. And by the way, I'm just talking about comedy.
Yeah.
I'm talking, but my other problem is that my comedy is so intermeshed with my life, and there's there's no difference between stage and life and any of it anymore.
No, you're an open book. What you see is what you get.
100%.
That's who you are.
And
there's no mask.
No.
But this is me.
There's no
I'm here.
mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've said I'm a bad dad consistently. I always say I'm a fucking horrible dad.
Although you're not.
But no, but I look at it going,
that's your 66%.
that's my 66% talking going, yeah, but you definitely are a pretty bad dad, because I definitely know some of the things you put in the closet.
Yeah, so when you look at when you look at yourself, you're basically judging yourself against a really high standard.
Yeah, you should, right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be a little excessive. So
100%.
Let's say if somebody tells you, okay, you need to rate yourself from 0 to 10. So more than likely, you're not going to go like, I'm a 10 overall as a person, as a dad, yada, yada, yada. You're going to be like, well, I'm a 7.
I was thinking
like
7
that.
in my head.
Yeah.
I was literally thinking 7, but I was like, only an asshole says he's a 9.
So check this out. This is what the brain does, right? Uh-huh. In order for your brain to compensate for those 3 points, you're going to try to work your way up to 13. Does that make sense? So you're working overtime.
Yeah. Yeah.
The problem is there's no way you can go 13. There's only 10. So you are going to be basically forcing that engine all the time. Like, I need to be more. I need to be better dad. I need to be a better dad. I need to be a better person. I need to da-da-da. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, over time, it gets tiring.
Oh, it gets fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
It may
I'm doing
make
that with
you
stand-up.
depressed.
I'm doing that with stand-up right now. It's, I think, one of the things that I've said consistently is that I'm overworking myself. I say I'm going to do this, and then I go, all right, I can just get to February. If I can shoot the special in February, then I can get there. Oh, it's so funny. Yeah.
You're more demanding on yourself than you are with other people.
Yeah.
You're expecting more of yourself than you are of other people.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
Now, the good news is when it comes to your role awareness, like, what am I supposed to be doing, right? You are clear on that. You're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And
Yeah.
you know exactly where you're going in the future.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's that?
Only you know. But you have a clear clarity when it comes to that. Self-direction, clear.
Yeah.
I know where I'm doing and I know where I'm going.
I agree with that completely.
Even if you don't believe that because of your negative bias against yourself.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, that.
So imagine this. This is the best way that I can describe the negative bias, right?
Okay.
You're looking at inside of a car, right? When everybody's shopping for Christmas and you're like, man, these cars are full of gifts. See on the back? Full of gifts. But whenever you look at your own car, you get a limo tint, super dark. And you're like, there's nothing here. Well, there is, but you can't see it. That's what it means.
I'm that way when we buy Christmas presents.
Yeah.
I'm like, we didn't buy enough. It just looks small. Doesn't
There you
look
go.
like other families have bigger.
But that's your self-perception. It's not reality. So it's about aligning reality with what actually is. So you don't have to work over time or you don't have to overwork yourself.
Yeah.
It's basically giving yourself a break. Does that make sense? Not
but
really
I can't. Here's one of the things. When we started talking about this at the very beginning, but and I've been going on this rant about this in my head, and I can't figure it out. It's going to be a bit one day. It will not make this special, but next special it will be a bit that I'm going to want to go, holy shit, I can't believe it. That's how long it takes to write a bit? Yeah, that's how long. I feel like too many people aren't hard enough on themselves. Mm-hmm. Too many people say things. I think too many people are hypocritical and aren't honest and candid with what they're feeling. It's like the whole idea of looking past people or looking through people. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think enough people realize even what that means. And and I can't figure this out, but
in my opinion, there's a lack of awareness. That's where it comes from.
A complete lack of awareness. It's like not to harp on the Lena Dunham thing, but when she comes out one day and says, believe all women, and then the next day says, but don't believe this woman, she's a liar. I go, hold on. You can't, you got to realize that you're just wrapped up in your own world. Your own world, it is the thing that it is white privilege. Everyone bashes white privilege. I don't believe that all white people have white privilege, but definitely some of us had it. Mm-hmm. And what it is not being consistent and not being self-aware enough to just go, maybe I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. Maybe I'm a little bit of a liar.
You know what?
Maybe I'm
the
broken.
reason why all of us do that, honestly, all of us do that. Mm-hmm. It's way easier just to do that than accept reality and do something about it. Mm-hmm. Why?
Yeah.
Because that requires change in our part.
Right.
So it's easier just to judge people and be like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And by the way, complete hypocrite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? It's easier because it's outside of yourself.
Right.
But what if I say, you know what? I'm the one with the problem. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that's racist. I'm the one that's all messed up.
Yeah.
Now I have to deal with it.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that.
No.
Why? Because we go back to that principle. The brain wants to preserve energy.
My point, maybe you'll get this. I won't say anyone's names. My buddy is Mexican. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching his Instagram stories. By the way, I'll say this like in a Lena Dunham way. I'm not racist. I'll say that right now. But then I'll tell you what I really am in whatever this is. Mm-hmm. I'm watching his Instagram stories and he's with his mom and his dad. And I realized in watching these, if I had not known that was his dad, I would have looked past that guy. I would have been like, oh, steer clear. Looks like a cholo. And his mom, I would have said, I would have just, maybe she's a maid. I don't know. I don't interact with that person. That person lives in the world I live in, but I walk past them often and don't even say, hey, how you? Man, I'm actually I'm being a little too hard on myself. I think I'm a very friendly person to everyone.
Yeah,
but I do. One time it happened with a fat chick I know you're allowed to say that, but on a plane, and there was a tall guy, and I gave the tall guy my seat and let the girl walk past me. And LeeAnn, I said something. LeeAnn goes, "Why didn't you offer it to the girl? Why didn't you offer your seat to the girl? Have more room?" And I was like, huh? I didn't even see a girl. She goes, yeah, because she doesn't count in your world. Like she doesn't have value in your world, but a big guy does have value, because I knew a lot of big guys growing up. Like if I see the guy, if I see a guy in a golf shirt and a Rolex, I see that man because I see him as my dad.
Because he's familiar.
He's familiar.
It's a pattern.
He's familiar.
Yeah, and so but when I saw this video and I saw it as my friend's dad, then the guy had value. And I went, oh, that's fucked up. So I really don't value a lot of people. Like, and I believe more people should start feeling like that.
Yeah.
And start putting value
on everybody.
Because there's so many people that you just shoot past.
Yeah.
The girl working at Gelson's on the day before Thanksgiving. You know? It's got to be. I'm doing this because I'm trying to do this, but I just try to think. Gelson's a pretty high-end grocery store. Like it's a very white privileged grocery store. Everything's expensive as fuck. There's actually no reason to shop there. There really is no reason to shop there. You can go to John's down the street and get everything for a third the price. Everything.
Just about.
But I said, it's got to be hard, a young Mexican chick. I go, it's got to be hard to watch just a lot of affluent white people spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, one after all she's doing is watching feasts get put in front of her face, and go, I'm trying to do this because I'm like trying to connect, and I'm buying something, and I was like, I should try to make a second to let her not just feel like someone who's got to like shuffle beautiful feast past her, and try to let her be a human for a second.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you getting ready for Thanksgiving? And very quickly I realized she's from Mexico. She didn't really celebrate Thanksgiving. Yeah, she was like, oh, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't really figured it out yet. And I was like, oh, and she had a pretty thick accent. And I was like, oh, maybe that was a bad fucking example. But yes, I don't know why I got on this tirade, but that's what the insight that the introspection I try to do. Yeah. And I feel like if you hold yourself to a higher standard, then you're forced to do that introspection.
Yeah. And it's good to do that to some extent.
Yeah.
Whenever you do it and it's working against yourself. Yeah. And it's never good enough. And it could always get better. And you know what? You start self-deprecating. That is a problem.
Okay. How do we stop it? Because I do that a lot.
Yeah. Well, by being aware of it. So the level of expectation, and this is going to be a little deep, right? The level of expectation is in direct relation to the level of disappointment. Does that make sense? So if my expectation is out of whack, more than likely I'm going to be disappointed. Right. If I'm expecting of myself more than I should or more than I can give, I'm going to be frustrated all the time.
Yeah, but...
And I'm not saying you have to be mediocre. That's a different thing.
Based on his numbers, mediocrity is probably not possible.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I was very mediocre.
No, all this is so high, the freedom piece and all that. You're not going to ever slip into mediocrity.
Well, what's this altruistic thing mean?
So that means that you've been burnt in the past. And you keep an emotional distance from people, and you are extremely guarded, which means... Wow. You asked.
Yeah.
Which means, I might go away thinking, now we're best buddies, we're friends, because you made me feel like that, but we're not.
Yeah, you hit that nail on the head. That was a home run.
So it's a survival mechanism, basically.
Yeah. I've been burned.
It's like, before you get into my house, may I see some ID?
Yeah.
Because last time the guy that showed up, he stole my TV and my
how many deposit?
Yeah,
I have a really hard time making friends.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I have at one point a friend of mine came up. We were doing a show. I'm sure if you know who the friend is, I'm just not gonna go into it. But I should give him credit. But we were all doing a podcast. And we used to do these things called the Ice House Chronicles, and I'm getting ready to go on stage, and I was a little buzzed. I might have been a little high, and I'm getting ready to go on stage. I don't normally perform high. I just don't. I perform with a cocktail or two, but not. I don't like getting high because I have a hard time thinking. And so Rogan came up with a shot of Jack, and I was distant because I was getting ready to go on stage, so I'm not thinking about the connection that we're having.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "Hey man, you're a really great guy." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he was like, "No, you're a really great guy." And I didn't even realize he had the shot of tequila or the shot of whiskey for me. And I was like, "Thanks, man." I was like, "You are too." And he's like, "No, you're a really great guy. And there are a lot of people that want to be your friends. And if you let them be your friends, I think you'll be really happy." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And he was like, "No, listen to me. You're a really great guy. And we're all trying to be your friend. So if you just let us, I think..." And I was like, "Oh," and then part of me goes, "Oh yeah." In my head, I didn't say this out loud, but I was like, "Yeah, I don't make friends super easy." I was thinking that.
Yeah, you qualify people. People need to qualify in order to be your close friends.
Oh yeah.
Like
and
if you're gonna get close, like it's gonna take some time. Like I need to run a background check on you first,
right?
Type of a deal. You know,
I need to watch.
speaking.
I need to watch your behaviors. I need to know that you're a safe person.
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely feel like
and that comes from your natural style because you're safety driven as well.
Yeah.
Not as high as she is, but you are. Yeah.
Safety
So
driven.
safety is high for you.
And what's regulatory mean?
Regulatory has to do with black and white thinking. So when you're low, it's like there's multiple ways to skin a cat. That's what it means.
Well, yeah.
Versus if you're high, it's like there's only two ways: the right and the wrong way.
Like
I always say I don't like tablet comics, like comics that look like they write their set on a tablet and then recite it that way. I go, but there's a lot of ways to do stand up, and I like those comics. Yeah. But the way I like to do it is there's many ways that the evening can have
you're not
fun.
rigid, you're flexible.
I can't imagine. Almost too much. I think the chaos thing you said earlier is
you're really
accurate.
flexible. You need a lot of variety, and you get bored easily.
Yep.
So
what about the criminal part? I want to know about the criminal part.
She just
so that one.
No, I don't.
That one comes once again from looking at authority.
Yeah.
And looking at all the negative. Like, if a cop were to approach you, you're basically thinking like he wants to shoot me or something. You're not like, oh, he's here to help. It's like, not really.
So funny. We crossed the street yesterday and there was a cop.
Yeah.
And I was like, he is definitely looking at me.
Yeah.
And
that'll happen. Yeah.
And Eric has got his booze and his binoculars. And I'm like, I can't believe we're going to get arrested just outside with a kid.
Yeah.
But
that's your perception. That's your bias. Somebody that has a positive bias, they're like, oh, I'm glad there's a cop in case something happens.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So they're going to be looking at the exact same situation, but differently.
Oh, that's so interesting.
And here's something really interesting as well. When it comes to your value, right? So the way we compensate for a lack of self-esteem, and self-esteem, I know it has like a negative connotation.
Let's take some time on this.
Yeah, it has a negative connotation, but it basically is the way we see ourselves and we value ourselves. That's it. It doesn't mean like you crawl into a ball and cry. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
So you gain self-esteem and self-importance when you are on the spotlight. So you get it from people.
Yeah. Oh, how else are you supposed to get it?
And more than likely, if you're not on the spotlight, you will look for something else to compensate. Drinking recreational drugs or something like that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because
I've
it's
been
all
known to
about
have a cocktail.
It's all about feeling with you. Yeah. So if the world is not what you want it to be, you will create your own world and live in it.
Fascinating. That's absolutely
so
right.
You will put all the pieces in place so that it matches your expectation.
Your fantasy, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fascinating. So yeah. That's why sometimes you get disappointed in our world because it's not.
That's reality. You don't want to live in reality.
I don't like reality. She said the other day, I think we're partying too much.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't realize it, but I was throwing an event every other day.
Like 4 nights in a row. Yeah. And I was like, tomorrow we are doing nothing. Yeah. We are not going anywhere. We're not having people over here.
And I ended up going to the
2
Rams
days
game.
deeper than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I wanted 2 days.
So that's what your brain tells you. Right. Like, you know what? This reality thing, it sucks. Let's do something interesting.
Yeah.
And he goes like, oh yeah, cool. It's going to be fun. Let's do it.
I was thinking about that as we were talking about this. I was like, oh, this is going to be so great to talk about over dinner with a bottle of wine.
Yeah. And see that future oriented.
Oh, yeah.
It happens all the time. You're going to catch yourself.
I get butterflies in my stomach when I think of a good time. Like when I say stuff like, oh, we should go out to dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Like then I go, oh, I can get through my day. I think it also connects with my reward system.
Yeah.
So I have a very low threshold for reward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I can, if I think about the future, if I think about what's going to happen tonight, I get excited.
Yeah. Call that the dopaminergic system.
Dopaminergic?
Yeah.
Dopaminergic. Interesting.
The dopamine receptors.
Right.
You know.
Oh.
Like you got a threshold. Once you basically are using it all the time, you need to increase that threshold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like with Xanax. If you start taking Xanax daily, then you got to go into 2 milligrams.
Now, more interesting than that is why do you feel you have to do that in order to be content?
I don't know. Can you tell me?
I can't.
Oh, fuck.
I cannot.
Well, then this was pointless.
Oh, shut up.
It'll be interesting to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, what is
because
that?
We're compensating for something, right?
Yeah, what is it that I need to have a party? I need to have the spotlight. I need to be loud. I need that stuff.
Yeah.
I was saying I hate.
Were you neglected when you were little?
What? Abducted?
No, neglected.
I don't know if I was neglected.
Because most of the times whenever we have a profile like this, you know, that requires a lot of attention.
The only emotion I can connect with, this is going to sound super silly.
No, go for it.
But when I was a kid, my mom used to have Vogue and Elle magazines floating around. That's all we had.
Okay.
So if you're going to take a shit, you just looked at a Vogue or an Elle. I know that was odd for a 10-year-old to do, is flip through a Vogue. But that was the only thing you had to, you're going to do something.
Yeah.
I remember getting depressed, like a genuine sense, like not a long term, but an instant depression, like an emptiness. When I looked at some of the pictures and I thought, my life will never be that cool.
Okay, so that's where it's coming from.
I remember going like, I'll never have a yacht and then a half naked girl.
So you created that narrative and now you're trying to live up to that. Like,
by the way,
you don't want to be normal.
Oh, I don't want to. No.
Like, no.
No, but I don't want to be normal in the sense that, like, I envy. Like, I used to, for a long time, I used to say I could be a fence builder because I got really into building this fence.
Yeah.
And so it'd be nice to not take your work home with you at night.
Yeah.
Not be all the time thinking of comedy, like nonstop trying to write this bit or assess things or say things that are uncomfortable to people because you're working on a bit and you don't have the fucking luxury of feelings, so you're like you just say stuff like I did with you. When did you come to this country? Like, and then I go, maybe you shouldn't say that, but I go, yeah, but I'm trying to write this. I'm trying to work on this thing on my head.
Yeah.
But then I love it when I'm home for a little bit. I love it, but then I start getting really fucking antsy, and I throw parties every night, and I need to get on the road and do stand up, and I need to go do a spot at the store.
And then when he's on the road, he needs to be home, and then when he gets home, he needs to be on the road. Nothing's ever settled.
That's what I mentioned. You need a lot of variety.
Yeah.
A lot of variety, a lot of connection, a lot of excitement all the time.
Yeah.
Now that the problem is this, what if, and I'm just saying, not saying that this is going to happen, right? But what if for some reason in the future, there's no way you can get that anymore? What's going to happen?
I don't know.
Deal with reality.
I dealt with reality this last month in October by not drinking. I remember having a little anxiety going.
Do you think that's probably why, it's showing as like a mild depression, the thing that I pointed out to you?
I think I have a mild, but I think we've talked about this a lot.
He's been saying he feels like he's mildly depressed for probably a couple years.
Yeah, but not like do anything about it.
Not
bad.
debilitated, just...
No, we got different ways of dealing with it. Some people go out and just want to forget about it. Some other people stay home and just cry. Or,
Right.
We deal with things differently.
Right.
Yeah, I think it... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where that... I don't know where that comes... Any of that comes from. Mm-hmm. I have no real traumatic life experiences.
Yeah.
I had a pretty regular childhood.
Yeah.
I excelled as an athlete, but not the best on the team.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to be something per se traumatic, but something definitely caused that because you're feeling really strongly about it.
Yeah.
It's a need. It's not a want. It's a need.
A need to.
I need to be different. I need to be on the spotlight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's a need.
Does that make sense? So whenever we have behavior that becomes a need, it drives us. We don't drive it. Does that make sense? It will control us. In other words, and that's not a good thing if you think about it. To make it sustainable over time,
long term, right? Long.
Like
term.
your body's going to start feeling it, and you're going to be like, okay, crap, but I need to do something. What do I do now? And now that's what I'm telling you. Now we need to really stop and deal with things. But are you going to be ready to do that? That's a question.
No, I think the answer is no.
So it's about creating this awareness to get ready for that moment.
Or just transitioning it into something where
Transition
sustainable.
that into something else. And you don't have to, once again, you don't have to change who you are.
Yeah.
But it'll be a good thing if you can reduce that need to a want. Like, I want to be different, but I don't need to.
Yeah, but I need to.
Yeah, because that is coming from insecurity.
Oh
basically.
yeah. Oh,
Excessive
I'm
insecurity.
horribly insecure. I have a very low self-esteem. I don't even know what ego is, but I think I don't know if I have one anymore.
You do.
Oh,
You do.
there we go. There
You
we
got
go.
one.
And she was like, yeah, I got one.
That came out of the closet. You do. No.
So
You do
so
have an ego.
so what? So your assessment of me is turn my want to be different or my need to be different into a want.
Yeah. So it
And-
doesn't control you. You can control it. So that if for some reason you need to stay here, you don't have to go out and party. You don't have to go out and be
I don't
on
have
the
to have
spotlight.
people over.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
don't have to have. By the way, I was just gonna say, should we invite people over for Monday Night Football? Hold on, don't say no yet. You already know that this is something I can't control.
Yeah, but I have stuff too that needs taken care of in me.
Yeah, put shit in your closet, and I'm gonna have people come over
That's
so
the
that
problem,
I
you
can help
see?
empty my closet out.
That's not healthy.
And one of the things that happens with this kind of a profile, she gets overshadowed.
Who does?
I
She
do.
does.
Oh, you're still here? Yeah, she gets definitely overshadowed.
Yeah, because you're so busy getting attention that you forget to pay attention.
To her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I can tell she's putting shit in her closet because her face goes like this.
That is very true. He pays so much attention to himself. A lot of times he doesn't pay attention to me in the way that, oh, what? See, that's not cool.
What do you? I'm
You
like,
just rolled your eyes. That is what happens. And what also happens is he needs so much care in a lot of ways that I have that natural instinct for me is to make everybody else happy.
Yeah.
But the need that I have with him and our kids is more, I have nothing left at the end of the day for myself.
That happens a lot with influencing styles because, like, you're my wife, you're here all the time. But my friends, I have to impress my friends. I need to invite them over. I need to make them feel good. But you're here all the time. And I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it happens unconsciously.
Right.
Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we all do that. Take for granted what we have because there's something exciting out there in the sense of, company or, whatever it is.
Home's not a party. Home's just
It's only
reality.
about being aware of that so it doesn't
Right,
become a
right.
problem in the future.
Exactly.
Just out of
That's all it is.
curiosity, now tell me what theoretical and political are.
So-
Because I'm an average person. That makes me insecure.
No. So political has to do with control. The higher you go, the more you need to be in charge of your own life and have authority over problems, challenges, or circumstances that affect you directly.
Yeah.
So in this case, you can be in charge, but you don't need to be in charge.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And theoretical means the need to know. So you're a little bit above average, which means that you more than likely have an above average IQ.
Yeah,
and
very probably.
you want to know why something is,
Yeah.
but you don't need to know. So if you're really interested on something, you can go all in and be like hyper, if it's like cameras, get all the gear and,
Yeah. That's
research.
By the way, that is
Yes,
exactly what
that's
happened.
right.
That is exactly what happened to me a year ago. A year ago, I was like cameras, and I bought so many cameras and it was so much fun.
it's obsessive behavior.
I'm obsessive, compulsive, hardcore.
And then it gets old and you're like, okay, I got everything. What's next?
Yep.
Does that make sense? But it has to be
100%.
something that gets your attention.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you will,
I get into stuff and then I get out of stuff. Right now I'm into bobbers.
He's
Yeah.
in it,
Motorcycles.
in out.
and obviously, I don't need to say this, right? But ADHD big time.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you have a podcast?
I'm actually working on one right now as we speak.
And you can have comics and celebrities in and
That's exactly what I'm planning on
That's
doing.
do this to
amazing.
them.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of friends. I want you to do this to Tom and Push and go on their podcast
Oh yeah.
but I want to write his answers. Don't tell him, but I'll be like, it says you're gay. He'll be like, what?
You know what?
Psychopathic tendencies.
He'll be like,
I know
what? He's
this
like,
is-
what? I did it once. And we're like, what?
I know this is funny, but you can actually tell if somebody has those types
Oh,
of
is she gay?
tendencies.
Because we've always wondered that.
No, she's not.
No, I'm not gay.
Are we sure? Should she
I'm
test it
pretty
out?
sure.
Should we invite a woman into the bedroom? Can you tell if that? Would you ever be interested in that?
No, not really. No.
There's a lot of
Either,
things that
me
you can
either.
tell. You can tell if somebody has sociopathic tendencies.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, can we have my dad on?
Oh, how about my mom?
So by the way, I like to clarify this because there's a lot of people out there and they just don't get it. So there's a difference between a psychopath,
Yeah.
sociopath, and a narcissist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. A psychopath is somebody that's they got actually something wrong with their brain. Their limbic system doesn't work right. So they cannot feel empathy for anybody.
Okay.
Okay. So they can just kill you like if you were a bug or something. Just okay, and then go have a coffee.
Yeah.
They don't feel anything.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody that's a sociopath, as the name implies, sociopath. Like you've done me wrong in the past. So now I'm compartmentalizing my feelings and my emotions and putting them away because you deserve to be punished. And I don't care about you. So they can do that, right?
Yeah.
A narcissist, they need medication,
Really?
pretty much.
What's a narcissist?
A narcissist is somebody that's so focused on themselves that nobody else, it doesn't matter who it is, their mom, their friends, their wife, it's all about them all the time.
Yeah, I might be pretty close to that.
Well, you get tendencies
Yeah.
because of that low altruism.
Yeah.
It's like people burn you so much over and over again that it's hard to feel empathy for them. Does that make sense? But it doesn't mean that you're going to go out and kill people. It just means that you can compartmentalize it.
Have you ever taken a test and been like, oh my God, you're a narcissist?
Yeah.
And you
You
can tell that
have?
on the test?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I've told people like you can probably shoot somebody and go have a Starbucks and you'll be fine with it.
You've said that?
So
Because it's true. And they're like, yeah, sounds about right.
Can anyone that's listening to this podcast take this test?
Yeah, they can.
Oh, how do they?
How do they find you?
Yeah, well, write this down so we can put this at the beginning because this is would have been.
And I'm gonna give you a
podcast.
I
Yeah.
kind of did sort of try to ask that at the beginning.
I'm gonna give you a link,
Go to your closet.
specific link,
Awesome.
so that we know it's coming from your podcast.
Okay.
Right.
And if anybody wants to go through this assessment, know about themselves, about their kids, about their spouse, it doesn't matter who it is, they can take the
My
assessment.
sisters are taking it tonight.
No, how old?
I've been with my family a lot.
No.
By the way, my dad is not a sociopath.
No.
I was just joking because
No.
our whole family dynamic has been shifted because of a new baby, and I think that watching the dynamic change and I guess seeing my dad be a grandparent from the outside is just everything's been like I kept bringing it up. Ooh, you were a better grandparent than you were with my kids, and then I think one night it might have gotten testy, but it was fine. But I would love for my sisters to take this.
Yeah.
They're taking it tonight.
How young of a child can you run a test like this on?
I'm going to say about 12, 13.
Okay. So like
If they got any questions before that age, it's only a matter of talking to the parents and asking them questions. It's pretty easy to spot.
So how would this work for someone that's listening right now? They would take the test.
So they will schedule a call, right? Take the assessment, and then I will go over the results in a debrief one-on-one over the phone.
Oh, great.
so anybody could do it from any city.
And then can people go
In the world.
Can people go? How does this compare to Bert?
If they want to.
Yeah. Am I like a LeeAnn? Am I like a LeeAnn?
If they want to. So I'm actually going to offer a discount to all your listeners.
oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah. So $50 discount on. So we got 2 assessments. The one that you guys experienced, it's called the executive assessment, which is the behavior, motivation, and axiology.
Okay.
Okay.
What's axiology mean?
Axiology is basically the way we value, once again, intrinsically, extrinsically, and systemically.
Oh, I think you said this earlier.
Yeah, you did.
And then that's one test. And then what's the other test?
The other test is just the behavior and the values, which is, believe me, that's a lot of information.
Right.
Really?
All of it is a lot. I'm going
So-
to read the whole thing.
Yeah, we got 2 different prices.
And we have a discount for my listeners?
Yeah.
And what's that? How do they go about redeeming that?
They're gonna have to mention the podcast.
Mention the podcast?
Yeah.
So is there like...
And he just said he's going to send us a specific link.
Yeah, I'm
Specific
gonna
link.
send you a
Yeah.
specific link, so all the people that go through that link will automatically receive that discount.
Oh, fantastic. All right.
great.
That link will be... I guess I'll tweet it out. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
I'll tweet it out. I'll put it on my
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, and then I'll put it in the description in this on the podcast. So if you're listening to this podcast, go, oh wait, just scroll up, and that link will be in there, and click the link, and then you can take the test. I think this is really fascinating.
It's very helpful.
I didn't know what to expect out of this,
Most people don't.
and I didn't. And I think I got to be honest with you. I would suggest doing this with your wife because
Well, did you learn about me?
100%.
Now, did you
Yeah.
learn, did it help you in any way to like understand like when we argue and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to change the way I argue because I'm always right, clearly, by my green. But
By your green? No, I'm the one that has the green.
my yellow, whatever. But anyway, I make the rules. I don't follow rules, and I make the rules. Listen, no.
So sorry.
I think what was very moving for me is when you got emotional about that, and I think I'll probably go back and listen to this podcast again because I do notice, by the way, that it's so odd that you say you put things in your closet because when I wake up in the morning and she's doing one of the things she puts in her closet, one of the things is she wakes up every morning at 5:45 in the morning and feeds the dogs. So I'll come into the kitchen looking for her and she will actually be in the closet doing things that she puts in the closet.
Yeah.
And so like this morning I was like, oh, we got this assessment coming up. I better fucking hit it out of the park today. So I got up with her and helped her get everything started. But then immediately was like, yo, put the shit in your closet. I got to take a nap. And then she ended up taking both girls to school, making both lunch. Well, I helped make the lunches, but I fed the dogs and I got breakfast ready with her. But it was like, I was like, oh, I wonder if I started helping more with that and not forcing her to put stuff in the closet. And the other thing is, I don't want you to resent that you didn't do anything creatively at 50. I don't want you to look back and go, I really should have done that. I had some free time. I could have not done laundry or,
Well, I don't have a lot of free time. I don't sit around and read the paper often.
This is you doing the thing.
Yeah, rationalizing.
This is you rationalizing and soothing that part of your brain. I'm not going to let you soothe that. I'm not going to let you soothe this part of your brain. But if I helped out a little bit, you'd have a little more free time.
That is true.
Yeah.
Now,
And
if
you
I
can
would have
help
more
each
free
other
time.
now that you know about each other. You can,
Right.
like you're doing that again. Like that's
Right.
what
Yeah.
my wife and I do all the time.
Right.
Like I have a hard time literally spending money on me.
Oh, I don't have that problem at all. She has that problem. She has that problem.
Even if I truly need something,
Right.
like
I'm
my
the
boots,
same.
right? Like, they're too expensive. I'm just gonna get something cheaper.
Me
She's like,
too.
how many times do you buy boots in a year? I'm like, well, they last me for like 6 years. Spend the money.
I'm
So
the
she
same.
will force me because she knows that's my weak spot. But I can spend $1,000 on a bag for her, and I'm fine with it.
Our
same.
pool we could get plaster or we could get Pebble Tech. And LeeAnn's like, oh, we'll just do the plaster. It's cheaper. And I was like, wait, hold on. We're going to have this pool for a while.
Yeah.
And I was like, spend the money. I always believe in spending the money on the nicer thing and getting what you want and enjoying it as opposed to saving. This is my glaring example. 13 years ago, we needed a vacuum. LeeAnn wanted to get the whatever the cheap one is. You don't need to spend money. And I said, I'm gonna buy the most expensive vacuum I can find.
Which at the time, was break the bank for us. Expensive. We were broke.
I said, but think about it. Every time you use this vacuum, you're gonna go, God, I fucking love this vacuum. And vacuum won't seem like a chore. You're not gonna be like, God damn it, this vacuum sucks. We need a new vacuum. This vacuum sucks. Like our fucking iron. that always dropped white stuff on your clothes, and so you'd be ironing clothes.
Oh,
and
no,
all of a
that
sudden,
iron was the top of the line iron.
Okay,
We got
agree
it
to
for a
disagree.
wedding gift.
Agree to disagree.
It was
But
really expensive.
we still have this fucking vacuum,
Yeah.
and it's been 13 years.
Actually, it's only been 12, but
My greens showing. And so my sisters have bought numerous vacuums, and they bought a vacuum at the exact same time. And the amount of vacuums money they spent on vacuums eclipses ours, but we spent that, and we've still got that goddamn vacuum.
Yeah.
yes.
It's like my wife's favorite saying, I think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's the way she's
things
like, I
it
think
is
it's worth
worth
it.
it.
I think it's
Buying
worth
a-
it.
like buying a first class ticket.
I'm better than when we
LeeAnn
first
would
got
never buy a
married. No,
first-class
I don't
ticket.
need a first class ticket to anything. But I'm better than when we first got
Yeah.
married. I'm much improved. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still hard for me. I still shop at
Believe
Target
me,
entirely.
all
for
of
my
us are
wardrobe,
struggling
and
with
that's not
something.
right.
Even myself, I'm supposed to be the profiler, and sometimes I fall into my own traps.
Well, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because we're all human. There's no way you can avoid that.
So what did you do before this?
I actually had a business doing pinstriping on cars.
Oh,
No
I
way.
pinstriped a car one day.
Really?
Yeah, our friend LeeAnn, I put stickers on her car and then videotape it
As a joke.
like
Inappropriate stickers.
Make America Great
Yeah.
Again, and then she's very liberal and or like I put a big rebel flag on the back of her car,
and she's Jewish.
and then one time I put
Sounds about right.
I pinstriped her car.
At a Girl Scout meeting.
and
She was in the Girl Scout meeting with me, and he was pinstriped
It
car in
looked
the
fucking
parking lot.
good. I did a great job, so good that she never even noticed them, and she sold the car with them on them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So
That's
You-
cool. You must go to work today every day so happy to do your job.
Yeah.
Do you look like you really enjoy your
I
work?
really enjoy it. I feel really passionate about what I do.
That's great.
Especially because, it can have a lasting effect in people's lives.
Of course.
It's about improving the quality of your life. It's
Right.
about investing in yourself.
Right.
The more you know about yourself, the more you know about other people, the better the quality of your life is going to be.
Right.
well, I'm going to use 2 of those codes tonight because I'm gonna have my sisters do this.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
'Cause I'm dying to know if they come up with some of the same shit I got, and then they're like, "Oh, that's because of that one time we got in that car wreck." I'm like, "Whoa, that was my thing.
Yeah.
That was the thing that made me that little." I wonder what Annie's. I'm dying to know.
Yeah.
Well, you don't get to be on the phone call, do you?
No.
I mean, you're just going to ask them to tell you.
Yeah, and they're gonna lie to me. Yeah.
It would be crazy to have someone take the test and you'd be like, this is a textbook narcissist or textbook sociopath.
It's got to be great when you got someone you're like, oh, this says he's an easily amendable rube, and you're like, oh, you need to take this test too.
Take it twice.
Take it twice.
Yeah, once we're done, I'll show you a graph of somebody that's like an ex-convict. And the way it looks like, yeah.
Really?
Now, did you read mine and go, oh, poor sad little girl? Did you do
No.
that? Okay, good.
And so this is the way it works. I don't really look at any of this. I go to page 17, bang, the way you're adapting,
Right.
look at your values, look at your numbers, and then I imagine what kind of a person you're going to be
Oh, interesting.
based on that. So I form, this visual image of
Interesting.
things you would do, things you would avoid, who you are as a person.
Can you tell if someone's going to be black or white based on their, like, black, white, or Mexican or Asian?
Oh, no.
You got to be able to tell Asians, though, right?
Why?
Because you're like, oh, you work really, really hard. You're really, really smart.
No.
They're really disciplined, and
Yeah.
they tend to have like high theoretical lines.
Oh,
Most of
got
them.
it.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But you can't just tell.
I would be fascinated to see.
But I've seen like engineers, I've seen pilots, I've seen a lot of people with depression, I've seen people with bipolar disorder. You can,
No way.
Yeah, and you can tell.
Can you?
That happened to me one time.
From the chart, you can
Yeah.
tell?
Yeah, because so I had a debrief with the guy, right? And then afterwards, he's like, I'm going to have my wife do this. So she took the assessment, and he called me up, and he's like, what do you think about this graph? And I'm like, I was like scratching my head. I'm like, she looks like 2 different people. That's the only thing that I can tell you.
Fascinating.
And he was just like quiet. And I'm like, so what? He's like, she's bipolar.
Oh, my God.
I was like, okay, that makes sense.
She's like 2 different people?
Yeah. I was able to tell another time this girl was cheating on the husband, and I was able to tell. by looking
Really?
at the graph.
How could you tell that she was cheating?
So when you look at that regulatory line, right? It's about regulated behavior. It's about standards. It's about following rules.
Right.
When you look at compliance, right? It was like a 2. So even though you know there's rules,
You're
right?
breaking them.
You're aware intellectually. When it comes to the behavior, you don't follow them.
Crazy.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So I talked to the guy. I didn't tell the guy directly, right? But I told him, so what's happening? I see, there's problems here. He's like, you know what? My wife cheated on me a couple months ago. And I was like, I knew it. And I told my wife, I told my wife.
That'd be
before.
great if you said that on the phone. I knew it.
Yeah, right?
Nailed it.
I thought about it, yeah.
Cha-ching.
That's crazy.
That's the only thing that made sense. Because you're looking, once again, at everything. You're like, what makes more sense out of all the possible scenarios that you can run?
Right.
She's cheating on him.
Do you live in San Antonio now?
Yeah.
I'm going to San Antonio soon.
Oh, really?
In March, maybe. March, April. I'm doing the comedy club there, I think.
Well,
you want to go to the show? Let us know.
yeah.
Please.
I'll
Yeah,
get
sure.
you some tickets.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Just
Yeah,
let me
I'd love
know
to- yeah.
kind of, let's look at it and find out in advance because his shows are selling out very fast.
Okay.
So
Say that one more time in case the mic didn't pick that up.
the shows are selling out very fast. So
Fish show out at the Trough
bring
is
some
sold out,
friends.
guys.
Just
Yeah.
let us know so we can set the tickets aside.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the friend that connected us, man, he's like your biggest fan.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? What's his name?
Jason
Jason?
Garza, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you,
That's
Jason.
awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, definitely listen to this episode. I'm looking for my
Your date.
Laugh Out Loud San Antonio, April 5th,
April
6th,
5th.
and 7th, and 8th. Well, we got to change that 8th date is going to be removed because I'm going to probably... So, yeah. So, I'll be in San Antonio then. I appreciate this, man. Thank you so much. This
It
has
was
been
very
really
enlightening.
enlightening.
I'm glad you guys liked it.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
It was great.
interesting.
I hope a lot of people do that because
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know, being aware of who you are is the only way you can make change, right?
It's the difference between I was thinking of this, maybe I should have said this earlier. The difference between this and therapy is when you go into therapy, you can tell them whatever you want them to
That's
hear.
true.
Yeah.
This, you're forced to live with your truths. And even parts of it that you may not say, well, that's not totally me. You were doing that. And I was like, yeah, I'm sitting there with you. And this is why I say you should do it with your spouse. Because I'm sitting there with you going, you said I have no purpose in life. And you're
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
I
yeah.
did say those
Yeah,
words.
yeah.
I said, you've said it like 4 times.
All right.
And so you're forced to live with your truths. And these are the behavioral assessment, the truths of that.
And one of the things that I pride myself in, I tell people the truth.
Right.
Whatever I see, I tell them. I don't like to, just
What's your
tell
reputation?
them whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It's like, well, I
get
just
it.
want to make you feel good about yourself.
No,
it's like,
that's-
no.
no.
The faster we deal with the problem,
Right.
the better for you.
Right. And it's good too because
Thank God you didn't just go, Bert, you're gay.
why are you really worried that either you or I are gay?
Yeah. Just the last time we had sex, it was just so gay.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Maybe this time I'll be on top.
Shut up. Or in front, right?
Hey! Wow, LeeAnn with a zinger at the last minute.
Oh my
At the buzzer pulls out a joke.
Remember, my creativity V is a lot bigger than yours.
Well, go get in your closet. Oh, well, thank you for doing this. I
Yeah,
appreciate
not a problem.
Thank
It was
you
great meeting
very
you guys.
much.
it. It was great meeting you guys, too. Thank you so much.
Thank you for hanging out. Jair's wife hung out the whole time. Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.